In her previous life, Elisa had her eyes gouged out and was tortured to death by the order of her beloved father emperor. In this life, she was reborn as Elsa, a princess of an enemy country. At just 1 year old, Elsa was incredibly well-behaved when having her hair done, but she refused to speak. Seeing the worried expressions of her family members, Elsa understood, but she feared that, like in her previous life, she would be abandoned after giving her true heart to her loved ones. Just as Elsa was worrying, a cute little fairy suddenly appeared. After her rebirth, Elsa became a legendary and extremely rare fairy master. The fairy also encouraged Elsa to let go of the past and start speaking. But when Elsa thought of her family from her previous life, those tragic experiences flashed before her eyes one by one. Elsa became so frightened that she closed her eyes. A pair of gentle hands embraced Elsa. It was Elsa's mother in this life. "It's okay. You'll learn to speak soon. I can wait until the day you open your mouth." Mother asked Father Emperor to hold Elsa. Although Father Emperor was worried about hurting the small Elsa, he picked her up with encouragement from his empress. For the first time, Elsa felt the wholehearted love from Father Emperor. She nervously lay in Treywin's arms. At this moment, Father Emperor suggested holding a birthday party for Elsa. A day later, Elsa's grandfather and grandmother, who originally guarded the north, traveled thousands of miles to celebrate her birthday. This should have been a very happy occasion. However, her grandfather brought news that was very bad for Elsa. At the northern border, Eatonbell happened to be signing a peace treaty. Eatonbell was Elsa's country in her previous life. Eatonbell would send envoys to attend Elsa's birthday. When Elsa thought about meeting her former relatives in a few days, she trembled in fear. This girl with sapphire-like eyes was Elsa, the reborn little princess of the enemy country. Due to her experiences in her previous life, little princess Elsa was very afraid of the dark. So she closed her eyes tightly and began to summon the fairies. In the starlight, the fairies surrounded Elsa. Just then, the curtains fluttered. Elsa saw outside the window. A strange man with golden hair suddenly appeared. This man's entrance was very grand, surrounded by golden light. He was the legendary Fairy King. The Fairy King looked down at the little princess. "It seems you really can see fairies." At this moment, Elsa was terrified. How did he know I could see fairies? Should I cry to attract the servants, or should I remain silent to save my life? Just as Elsa was considering whether to cry, the Fairy King made a shushing gesture to her, as if he had seen through Elsa's thoughts. "You really are an interesting child." The little fairy that had been accompanying Elsa suddenly appeared and bowed to this strange man. Elsa was shocked. She never imagined that the man before her was actually the Fairy King. The Fairy King sighed. He said, "It seems I came too early." Then he reached out a small hand and gently tapped Elsa's forehead. "Sleep now and forget everything that happened today." As the hypnotic magic was released, the golden-haired man before Elsa's eyes began to blur. In the end, only the sleeping little princess Elsa remained. In her previous life, Elisa had her eyes gouged out and was tortured to death by the order of her beloved Father Emperor. In this life, she was reborn as Elsa, the little princess of an enemy country. Now Elsa faced a brand new challenge. That was learning to walk. Elsa used all her strength to prop herself up. Due to her weak legs, she could only fearfully support herself on the ground with both hands. Her mother was in front of her, encouraging her. With the help of the servants, Elsa finally managed to stand up. But each step forward was extremely difficult, perhaps due to inheriting the Empress's genes. Elsa was much smaller than her peers, and her leg strength was simply not enough. Walking was very challenging. Now, Elsa could at most take 3 steps on her own. Whether it was the servants around her or her own Empress, they all patiently encouraged Elsa. The Empress crouched down expectantly before Elsa. "Mommy's here." At this moment, in Elsa's mind, memories from her previous life suddenly surfaced. Elsa's birth mother before her rebirth had barely held her, always maintaining a lofty demeanor, only when she had to act like a mother in official occasions. Even so, Elsa still felt that brief embrace was warm and happy. The scene returned to the present. Elsa began to pant, sweat involuntarily beading on her face. Her little legs also began to tremble. The maid beside her asked with concern, "Princess, are you all right?" Elsa firmly believed in her heart that she could walk a few more steps. The servants and the Empress all cheered for Elsa. "Just a little further forward and I'll succeed." Just then, Elsa suddenly stumbled. With a thud, she fell and sat on the ground. The servants beside her were frightened. At this moment, Elsa laid her upper body on the ground, slowly supporting her entire body with both hands. That's right, Elsa stood up by herself. Elsa knew she couldn't give up like this. As long as she kept moving forward step by step like now, she would eventually be able to throw herself into her embrace. This was the first time Elsa had seen her grandparents since her rebirth. Elsa opened her eyes wide, curiously examining her grandparents. Because Elsa's grandparents guarded the northern border, they had never met before. This time, her grandparents traveled thousands of miles to celebrate Elsa's birthday. Grandmother wanted to hold Elsa. She used her small hand to tickle the little princess's cheeks, her face full of a benevolent smile. Then grandfather also happily extended his finger, teasing Elsa's little face. Then the empress and her entourage entered the room. Grandfather appeared very worried because Edenbell, the country, had recently signed a peace treaty and had become considerably more docile for the time being. But what was concerning was that they would send envoys to attend Elsa's birthday celebration. This might be the most terrifying news Elsa had heard since her rebirth, because the Edenbell Empire was Elsa's former country. Elsa's whole body trembled at the thought of the tragedy from her previous life. She silently prayed, "Please, don't let it be the Edenbell royal family coming." At that moment, Elsa thought she heard the names of the royal family members. She could no longer hold back and burst into tears. Grandfather immediately stood up. "What's wrong? What's wrong with Elsa?" At this point, grandmother directly criticized grandfather. "It's because your voice is too loud that she's like this." The empress quickly patted Elsa's back. "It's all right, Elsa. Mommy will scold grandfather." Elsa tightly grasped the empress's clothes. She put on a wronged expression, and then grandfather apologized to Elsa. "I'm sorry, Elsa, but it's all the fault of those Edenbell fellows. Right, Elsa?" Elsa nodded. So Elsa hates Edenbell too. Afterward, the empress lifted Elsa high, trying her best to cheer Elsa up. The little princess Elsa's first birthday celebration finally began. The nobles in the city were all discussing Princess Elsa's appearance, wondering if she looked more like His Majesty or the Empress. The Empress and Elsa had both changed into beautiful outfits. The maids looked on with extreme envy. The Empress carried Elsa to the balcony. The scene before her amazed Elsa. The city sky was decorated with colorful ornaments. The entire nation was celebrating Elsa's birthday. At this moment, Elsa's brother arrived. Elsa's brother circled around her, continuously praising, "You look so cute today, Elsa. As expected of my sister, you're amazing." Then, Elsa's brother decided to carry Elsa to the banquet. The hall was filled with a bustling crowd. Melodious music could be heard. Elsa appeared very nervous. She lay against her brother's chest, her little hands tightly gripping his clothes. Seeing his nervous sister, her brother comforted her. "Elsa, smile. You won't be so nervous if you smile." Hearing the gentle song, Elsa relaxed her brow and smiled. As the doors opened, a loud voice announced, "Presenting Her Highness Empress Alice, Her Highness Princess Elsa, and His Highness Crown Prince Isis." After they entered, the audience's cheers echoed throughout the venue. This little princess, who was framed and killed in her own country, was reborn as the beloved in an enemy country. Yet she saw the envoys from her previous life. Elsa's birthday celebration was extraordinarily lively. The nobles were all eagerly anticipating a close-up view of the princess's face. At that moment, the crown prince entered, carrying Princess Elsa. Her sapphire eyes, complemented by silver-white hair, were utterly adorable. The little princess immediately became the center of attention. Suddenly, a man stood before the crown prince, extending his large hands. It was Father Emperor, who also wanted to hold Elsa. The banquet proceeded smoothly. They even sprinkled holy water brought from the light temple over Elsa. Afterward, the nobles presented their gifts one by one, just as Elsa was immersed in the joy of receiving gifts. A sentence plunged her into fear. "Next, we invite the envoys from Edenbell to step forward." Elsa felt as if her soul had left her body. Who could the Edenbell Empire's envoys be? What if it was someone she knew? As the envoys stepped forward, gradually revealing their true appearance, blue eyes came into view. Could it be Lacheas? The Edenbell envoy removed their hood. Under the bright palace lights, a delicate face was revealed. Little Princess Elsa involuntarily murmured, "Olsen." By now, Elsa's eyes were brimming with tears. It turned out this young envoy was Elsa's only childhood friend. He was also the Empire's youngest high-level magician. Elsa hadn't expected Edenbell to send him. This made her feel comforted. How much can a brother dote on his sister? Elsa's brother could give you the answer. He approached, carrying a blue box. Seeing the jewel-encrusted box, Elsa looked puzzled. Is it a sword? Her brother gently lifted Elsa's small hand. He placed a deep kiss on it. My adorable sister, happy first birthday. His Majesty said, Isis, do you want to establish a knight's covenant with Elsa? It turned out this was a unique covenant in the Knight Empire. It was different from ordinary contracts. Once a knight's covenant was established, one had to protect the other forever, even at the cost of one's own life. But Elsa, who had experienced betrayal in her previous life, no longer trusted anyone. People's hearts change easily, and one never knows when betrayal might occur. Elsa immediately burst into loud tears. Brother Isis held Elsa's small hands in both of his. I've said it before, haven't I? I will protect you anytime, anywhere. Moreover, you're not just my miracle, but also my wish and my good fortune. I will definitely become stronger in the future. Only then can I protect you properly. So, please give me a chance. Elsa was silent for a moment. Then she revealed a trusting smile. His Majesty took up the jeweled sword. Now we proceed with the oath ceremony. This oath contains not only courage, but also the heart to protect Elsa. As the oath concluded, Isis officially became Elsa's guardian knight. The nobles all applauded. Isis basked in the enthusiastic applause. He happily greeted everyone. Elsa gazed at her brother. Perhaps all my misfortunes have ended, she thought. The gentleness emanating from Father Emperor and Mother's affection for me, along with my brother's smile. All these made me feel that maybe I could be happy too. Little Princess Elsa's birthday celebration was drawing to a close. Her brother took Elsa to watch tonight's fireworks display. He found a best spot for viewing. As a streak of red light soared into the sky, it transformed into a brilliant flower of fire. The colorful lights ascending in the night sky illuminated the siblings' faces. To Elsa's surprise, amidst the dazzling fireworks in the sky, her name was spelled out. The Emil Empire didn't have many magicians, and creating fireworks that could spell out names was extremely difficult. Elsa realized that everyone had put in tremendous effort for this celebration. Immersed in emotion, Elsa felt she could finally open her heart. Elsa softly uttered her brother's name, but the thunderous sound of fireworks seemed to drown out Elsa's voice. Did he hear me? I should have spoken earlier, she thought. Elsa secretly glanced at her brother's reaction. Without her noticing, her brother had already turned his head. Yes, Isis had heard. A tear rolled down from his left eye. Elsa, did you just call my name? Isis was extremely excited. You really called my name, didn't you? Elsa gave a helpless expression. It was just calling his name once. Was it really worth crying tears of joy? The king and queen hurried over. The queen, unaware of what had happened, asked Isis what was going on. Elsa spoke again. Mother. Learning that Elsa could speak, the queen was particularly excited. The king rushed to Elsa's side. What about me? Quick, call me too. Elsa smiled softly and uttered, Father. The overjoyed king scooped Elsa up in his arms. The whole family was elated and moved by Elsa's ability to speak. Unexpectedly, Elsa had such a good childhood friend in her previous life. While the whole family was rejoicing over Elsa's ability to speak, Alson downstairs couldn't help but recall the past. Those were the good times in the Edenbell Empire. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. It was his teacher. The teacher sighed. The Edenbell royal family is in utter chaos, while the Emil Empire is harmonious. How embarrassing. Alson worriedly said, What if someone overhears? Before Alson could finish, the teacher interrupted. So what if they hear? I'm already old. Alson clenched his fists tightly. He couldn't understand why. Why did Elisa have to be executed? If I had known earlier, I would have found a way to save her. But when I learned of this news, it was already too late. Even now, in the first moment I open my eyes each morning, I can almost see Elisa's figure walking in through the window. As he said this, Alson was already in tears. He clenched his teeth tightly. I can't forgive those who executed her. The teacher sighed helplessly. Alson calmed down. Don't lose yourself in hatred. Alson wiped his tears. I must investigate the truth and clear Elisa's name. The teacher turned and remained silent for a moment. Then do as you say. I'll lend you a hand as well. Alson quickly thanked his teacher. Then he looked up at the balcony. That little princess is called Elsa, right? Thanks to her, I've made up my mind. Time flew by. It had been 7 years since little Princess Elsa's rebirth. At this moment, Elsa was sitting under a tree, reading intently. Her brother happened to come over. "Oh, it's a history of ancient languages. Is this a book a 7-year-old can understand?" Isis continued, stroking the back of Elsa's head. "But you've always been smart. It's not surprising that you can understand such profound books." It turned out that when Elsa was 3, she gradually began to show her abilities to the outside world. Yes, ever since that fireworks show, Elsa had opened her heart. So Elsa began to learn to read and write, or more accurately, pretended to learn. Her brother happily showed the Empress what Elsa had written, writing her name at just 3 years old. This led everyone to believe Elsa was a genius. Elsa even wrote father and mother, which deeply moved the Empress. Soon after, Elsa began reading fairy tales. Besides language, Elsa was particularly interested in elves. She started researching information about elves, but Elsa always worried that her talent might affect her brother's status as heir. Until now, Elsa could finally study openly. In fact, Elsa's study of elf knowledge had only one purpose. That was to take revenge on the Eden Bell Empire. Fortunately, in Emil, she could easily obtain news about the Eden Bell Empire. For the past few hundred years, the two countries had always been enemies. Only in the last decade or so had they begun to coexist peacefully, and Brother Lakias will be crowned Crown Prince this year. It seems even though I died, everyone is still doing well. Elsa's empire held a grand event every season. The events mainly involved worshiping deities and holding festivals. As it was the biggest event of the year, the palace put a lot of effort into preparation. Mother, being the Empress, must be extremely busy. Yet this time, she came without prior notice. "Do you have something to tell me?" Elsa happily opened the door and ran to her mother. "Mother, I've missed you so much. How have you been feeling lately?" The Empress held Elsa's small hands in hers and got straight to the point. "I'm doing well. Do you remember Professor Amy who visited last time?" It turned out that the professor from the Emil Imperial Academy was to test Elsa's learning ability. But Elsa, with memories from her previous life, had been a bit perfunctory with the teacher at the time. Elsa thought the Empress would criticize her, but unexpectedly, the Empress said, "Professor Amy couldn't stop praising you. She said you're exceptionally talented. A genius rarely seen in decades," she said. Elsa laughed awkwardly twice, thinking to herself, if I had known this, I should have performed worse during the test. The Empress showed a pleased expression and said seriously to Elsa, "What do you want to do in the future? You've been clever since you were little. The noble lady who taught you then always spoke highly of you." Actually, after hearing the professor's words, I'm a bit troubled. I don't know what else I can do for you. Clearly, Elsa's exceptional talent had caused the Empress some concern. Hearing these words, Elsa felt a bit at a loss. Am I being too hasty? Take your time to consider. The Empress stood up and added a few more words. During the spring festival, why don't you make some friends your age? Having friends might be quite beneficial for your future life path. Elsa playfully teased, but will father and brother agree? Elsa was planning to launch her revenge against the Eden Bell Empire, and the power of being a fairy master would become Elsa's secret weapon. Elsa knew that to seek revenge, she couldn't rely on herself alone. But not wanting to trouble her family, she decided to study fairy arts on her own. Soon after, Elsa fell asleep on the sofa. The next day, Elsa went to the archives to search for information about fairies. But Elsa knew too few characters and couldn't understand much. Fortunately, Elsa had just finished learning basic ancient language yesterday, so she had grasped the fundamental vocabulary. She also knew the principles of language formation, so she could guess the general meaning from the shape of the text. However, even in the royal library, which housed all the empire's books, ancient language texts were rare. Elsa had to search one by one. Just as she was about to look elsewhere, she suddenly discovered a book on fairy history. Elsa was overjoyed. After reading this book, she would understand fairies much better. It seemed the fairies were happy too. Just then, the fairies suddenly spoke to Elsa. "Do you want to take a look at this book?" It turned out to be a book about magic. If Elsa learned magic, it might play a crucial role in her revenge plan. Elsa nodded, deciding to learn some magic. Then Elsa left the library, but she didn't expect to encounter her brother on the way. Her brother was very curious about Elsa's presence here. Elsa became extremely nervous. She hurriedly hid the magic book, but her brother still caught a glimpse of it. Elsa had begun learning magic for her revenge. However, she didn't want her brother to know, so she lied to him, saying it was an ancient language book and that she needed to study the ancient language more deeply. At this moment, Elsa was terrified of being exposed. She kept smiling at her brother, praying that she could get away with it. Her brother suddenly called out Elsa's name loudly. This frightened Elsa terribly. Her brother stroked Elsa's head. "I've heard everything. The professor spoke very highly of you. Although the Empress is anxious about your future, you don't need to worry too much. Do whatever you want to do. We will all support you." After saying this, Isis turned and left. This made Elsa suspicious. It seemed as if her brother knew she was hiding something. But such outlandish things as her rebirth and possession of elves, her brother couldn't possibly know, right? Elsa knew that such unrealistic things simply couldn't be told to others. Back at her room, Elsa was reading the history of elves. The stories in the book were incredibly interesting. So far, she could be certain that fairy masters had disappeared because they were forced into the war of fairy swords. But the book never mentioned people who could see fairies from birth. Elsa blinked her eyes, curiously asking, "So what's my situation then? I don't know who to ask about this. What should I do?" Just as Elsa was frowning with worry, she accidentally saw information about summoning fairies in the book. Elsa was overjoyed. This was also what Elsa wanted to understand the most. After careful reading, Elsa discovered that the most important thing for summoning fairies was a contract certificate. This was Elsa's first time signing a contract with a light fairy. This also laid the foundation for Elsa's revenge plan. Elsa carefully read the fairy history. She found out that summoning fairies required drawing a magic circle. But this book didn't separately introduce this kind of formation. What made Elsa particularly angry was that the book actually advertised, if you want to summon fairies, you can purchase. How could the dignified princess of the Emil Empire tolerate such a thing? She decisively threw away this fairy history book. Panting, the disappointed Elsa slumped on the desk. "I thought I could learn more about fairy summoning. Damn the author, going to such lengths to promote sales." As Elsa was complaining, the fairies around her told her to calm down. Elsa also realized she had been too excited. "No, wait. The book the fairies told me to read might have clues." Elsa flipped through the magic book. Sure enough, as she had guessed, although it was a low-level contract formation, it was better than nothing. Elsa quickly prepared the materials suggested in the book. The paper and pen were all ready. All that was left was to draw the magic circle. After drawing the magic circle, she would place her hand on it, then recite the incantation, "Spirits that construct all things, come and become my power." Immediately, golden rays of light emanated around Elsa. The brilliant golden light was inevitably a bit dazzling. Soon, the golden light coalesced into a ball. A cute golden fairy appeared before Elsa's eyes. The fairy suddenly spoke. "Elsa, you've succeeded in summoning." Elsa was very surprised to hear this voice, because this fairy was the one that had been accompanying Elsa. Named Lure, she was a low-level light fairy. The fairy that had been by Elsa's side since she was little had taken physical form. Elsa hadn't expected that making a contract with a fairy would be so simple. The light fairy told Elsa that summoning higher-level fairies wouldn't be so easy, because Elsa was still in a young state. Her magical power was still relatively low. So to summon high-level fairies, she would need to wait for her magical power to increase. Above the low-level fairies, there were 4 more levels of fairies. The highest level was the Fairy King, Luminous, whom Elsa had seen before. Speaking of Luminous, Elsa hadn't realized that the god most revered by the Emil Empire was actually the Fairy King. He not only symbolized victory and honor, but was also the god of life. And the festival that the Emil Empire was about to hold was also to pray to Luminous. The Light Fairy continued to narrate the history of the Fairy King. In fact, a long time ago, the creator created the Night of Spells. The Fairy Kings were born from this. Since then, the title of Fairy King has changed with the passage of time. Luminous was previously known as the Master of Spells, and now is called the God of Light. But not all gods are fairies. Gods and fairies together guard the world, so humans sometimes fall. And Luminous is not a god, just a fairy. Then Elsa asked what the Fairy King looked like. Lure was very excited and even expressed her admiration for the Fairy King. Not only did he have platinum blonde hair, but also enchanting eyes. Elsa was silent for a moment. "No, I couldn't have possibly seen the Fairy King." Yes, Elsa didn't know that man was the Fairy King. She still thought she had just had a dream. Elsa nervously asked, "Is it possible for me to summon the Fairy King?" Lure put down the dessert in her hand. She seriously told Elsa that in this world, No one had ever successfully summoned the Fairy King, because humans could not possibly possess the magical power to summon the Fairy King. Elsa was very disappointed. Of course, the Fairy King was so powerful. How could he be easily summoned? At this moment, Elsa thought of her brother. She muttered, wondering what her brother was doing now. Then Elsa asked the nurse. Because the Crown Prince was passionate about sword practice, he had accidentally caught a cold. Elsa was very worried. Is my brother all right now? Is he very sick? The nurse suddenly realized she had let slip. Elsa immediately hugged the nurse, pitifully begging her to tell her. Elsa looked so pitiful as she tried to find out about her brother's condition. It turned out that the Crown Prince was worried about transmitting his cold to Elsa. That's why he had ordered not to tell her about his illness. But Elsa didn't want her brother to hide anything from her. So Elsa decided to write a letter to her brother. She was determined to tell him her feelings and let him know not to worry too much about her. The scene changes. The cold had left Isis without an ounce of strength. His nose felt like it was plugged with a cork, forcing him to breathe through his mouth. Even his voice sounded muffled. The one visiting Isis was Bevan from the Night Order. Bevan and Isis had a good relationship. Bevan asked Isis why he was practicing swordsmanship so desperately. Isis said in a low voice, of course, it was to improve his swordsmanship to deal with various emergencies. Yes, ever since Isis made the Knight's Covenant with Elsa, he knew that only by constantly improving his strength could he protect the one he loved. At this moment, a servant informed Isis that Elsa's maid was requesting an audience. Isis immediately got up upon hearing this. It turned out to be a letter sent by Elsa. Isis took the envelope and paused for a moment. This was really unexpected for Isis. Isis opened the envelope and began to read. But he hadn't read more than 2 sentences before he started coughing. He even swayed a little. Bevan, concerned for the Crown Prince, told His Highness not to get too excited, or his fever might worsen. Isis was very exasperated. Bevan, you're so nagging. Turn your head away. The letter mentioned that Elsa expressed her longing and concern for her brother. After reading the contents of the letter, Isis felt somewhat guilty. Although he had discovered that Elsa was hiding something from him in the library last time, Elsa must have her own reasons. As her brother, he should trust and support her. This also made Isis more determined to become stronger. Bevan, watching Isis, couldn't understand why he was so fond of his sister. Perhaps it was because Bevan was an only child, so he really couldn't understand his feelings. It was also thanks to Elsa that the Crown Prince could muster his spirits. Remember when Queen Tethys had just passed away, Isis was like a little wild beast gone mad. If it weren't for the current Empress and Princess, how could he show such a smile? This was the first time Elsa learned that she could use magic. On the first day of the spring festival, everyone was praying to Luminous, the god of light. Then came the ritual where priests healed the sick. Ugly scars would all be healed under the magic power. Elsa, watching from upstairs, was very curious. If the Fairy King wasn't a god, then where did the power used by the priests come from? Luer explained to Elsa that strictly speaking, they weren't using divine power. Rather, it was the self-healing ability that light fairies naturally possessed. The priests, because they followed Lord Luminous and helped spread his teachings, received some power. Elsa suddenly realized, if light fairies were born with healing abilities, could she use this power herself? The fairy smiled and replied, of course you can. You can absolutely use this power to heal patients. Elsa was overjoyed. However, Elsa's power wasn't very strong. They're not much different from those priests. Only when the spirits summoned by Elsa become more powerful will her healing abilities grow stronger. Someone like Elsa, who could see spirits from birth, is truly one of a kind. If others were to learn about Elsa's immense power, she would surely face envy. For now, it's best to keep this ability hidden. This way, the power of a spirit mage can become her secret weapon. The thought that higher-level spirits meant stronger healing abilities made Elsa shudder. The unknowing queen mistook it for Elsa feeling cold. After the ceremonial ritual ended, the queen, hoping for Elsa to make more friends, arranged a tea party for her. Unable to escape, Elsa hadn't spoken to her brother in a while. Due to the morning's solemn atmosphere, Elsa couldn't chat with her brother and could only steal glances from afar. Now, with her brother at a distance, even pretending to pass by and whisper to her would be difficult. Seeing her brother now restored to health, Elsa's face lit up with joy. And beside her brother was the attendant, young Master One, who not only excelled in swordsmanship, but also showed great talent in magic. He was the heir to a duke's family. Just then, a girl next to Elsa suddenly spoke to her. Will your highness be attending the embroidery gathering? I'm not very good at embroidery, Elsa replied. The girl, brimming with enthusiasm, went on to explain, embroidery is indeed challenging, but all beginnings are difficult. With regular practice, you'll become skilled in no time. Remembering how uncomfortable Elsa looked last time, she quickly interrupted, I think I'll pass. Indeed, Elsa was very averse to being with these people. Meanwhile, another girl had been talking to herself for half an hour. Knowing that others were of lower status, or perhaps intimidated by her demeanor, they kept agreeing, oh my, indeed. Someone save me. Elsa desperately hoped for someone to rescue her from the situation. Just then, Bevan suddenly appeared. Princess Elsa, His Highness the Crown Prince wishes to speak with you. My brother wants to talk to me? Then I must go at once. The surrounding girls cast envious glances. Elsa felt a wave of relief wash over her. Elsa had endured half an hour of the tedious tea party. Thankfully, Bevan came to her rescue just in time. If she had stayed any longer, Elsa might have collapsed before the tea party even ended. Bevan remarked that the tea party looked incredibly dull. Then he confessed to Elsa, actually, His Highness the Crown Prince didn't instruct me to bring you over. Elsa was stunned. My brother didn't call for me? Then why did you bring me out? Bevan turned his head and met Elsa's gaze. I saw from outside that you seemed to be in distress, so I took it upon myself to bring you out. Besides, the Crown Prince also appeared to want to see you. Elsa was shocked by Bevan's words. She thought, he was so far away earlier, yet he could still notice my discomfort. He must be very perceptive, and he's so open and honest too. Elsa smiled brightly at Bevan. Although he had deceived her, she was still grateful. After all, she really didn't want to continue chatting with those Marquis's daughters. Suddenly, Elsa noticed the flower on Bevan's chest. She proudly told Bevan, the flower pin you're wearing and the floral wreath on my head were both my ideas, you know? To welcome spring and express gratitude to the spirits, I suggested using flowers as accessories. Yes, before the spring festival, Elsa participated in the planning. She spent every day in the palace writing proposals for the spring festival. Her parents even praised her efforts. Bevan was surprised. Could a 7-year-old really accomplish this? He also noticed that Elsa's main focus in the planning was to emphasize the importance of spirits' existence. Indeed, ordinary people tend to easily forget about the existence of spirits. Elsa, who could see spirits every day, didn't find them unfamiliar. But for ordinary people, spirits should be both distant and mysterious beings. Bevan admired Princess Elsa from the bottom of his heart. You truly are as mature and composed as the rumors say. If we were in front of His Highness the Crown Prince, I might not have had the chance to speak with you. So being able to chat like this, I feel extremely honored. Elsa was very confused. Why wouldn't you be able to talk to me in front of my brother? Just as Bevan was about to explain to Elsa, unexpectedly, the Crown Prince interrupted Bevan from afar. The Crown Prince appeared very enthusiastic, directly pushing Bevan aside. Elsa finally understood why Bevan couldn't speak to her. He simply couldn't get a word in edgewise. Bevan, standing to the side, could only helplessly swallow his disappointment. Little Princess Elsa was truly blessed. No one could have imagined that in her previous life, Elsa was framed and killed. But in this life, she was reborn as a princess of the enemy country, adored by all. Just as Elsa and her brother were chatting animatedly, her mother and grandparents also arrived at the tea party. It turned out that Her Majesty the Queen had some business to attend to, so she asked Elsa to show her grandparents around the palace. Elsa was overjoyed. This was also a rare opportunity to spend more time with her grandparents. However, to Elsa's surprise, Bevan also followed along. Her grandfather also led a powerful knight order at the border. Young Master Bevan must also aspire to become a skilled swordsman like her grandfather. Elsa's group arrived at the back garden. In the back garden, there was an arched corridor covered in blooming flowers. As a gentle breeze blew, flower petals fell from above. Elsa caught the petals. At that moment, she had never felt so happy. Her grandfather called out to Elsa, "Stand still right there." Elsa was a bit confused. Her grandfather took out a glowing orb from his pocket. It turned out to be a newly developed image sphere by magicians, powered by magic stones. It could store scenery and sounds. Elsa could hardly believe what her grandfather was saying. Then her grandfather shook the image sphere slightly. Elsa's motion of catching the flower petals was completely recorded. Elsa felt extremely shy, while her grandparents were melted by Elsa's cuteness. The Crown Prince also loved this image sphere very much. He begged his grandfather to give him one. Obviously, the sister-complex crown prince wanted to stare at Elsa in the image sphere all day long. Since her grandparents were at the border year-round, this image sphere was specially bought by them to record Elsa's moments. How could they possibly give it to the crown prince? Subsequently, the crown prince started to act coquettishly towards his grandfather. Elsa and Bevan couldn't help but laugh at this scene. Elsa and the crown prince both coughed up blood and fainted from poisoning. Who could be the one who poisoned them? Today was the highlight of the festival. Everyone was dressed in white. Elsa was also wearing a white gown. She arrived at the Isis Palace. The crown prince and Bevan were chatting casually. Elsa inadvertently noticed a portrait on the wall. The woman in the painting was Queen Tethys, His Highness Isis's mother. Isis looked at the portrait impassively. If Mother were still alive, I wonder what she would think of me now. It's a bit silly to think like this, Isis said, shrugging and smiling. Elsa comforted her brother. You need to cheer up, brother. Isis shook his head. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I feel very happy now. Isis stroked Elsa's hair. His words warmed Elsa's heart. She felt the same way. Then they all went to the back garden. The servant who poured tea also arrived. He seemed to be an experienced servant, performing every action with perfect precision. The servant placed teacups in front of Elsa and her brother. Bevan, however, declined the tea. Elsa was puzzled. Has this servant always worked in Brother's palace? I've never seen him before. Perhaps they're short-staffed due to the festival, Elsa thought, not dwelling on it further. She drank the tea from her cup. Suddenly, the fairy shouted, Master, don't drink the tea. Elsa was startled. The fairy explained, the plant spirit says the tea is poisoned. Before Elsa could grasp the situation, her nose started bleeding. Dizziness followed. Elsa saw Isis's face turn deathly pale. With her last ounce of strength, she told Isis, don't drink your tea. Then Elsa coughed up a mouthful of blood. Both of them collapsed onto the table. Elsa and Isis were poisoned. They both coughed up blood and fell onto the table. Bevan, the only one who hadn't drunk the tea, hurriedly pushed back his chair and shouted anxiously, Quickly, call for the royal physician and the priest. The scene changed. All the nobles were discussing the poisoning of the crown prince and the princess. Thanks to young Master Bevan's testimony, the servant who poisoned them was quickly apprehended. Although Bevan received praise from everyone, he still felt extremely guilty. I was right there, yet I couldn't do anything. Why am I so useless? I always thought the best way to protect others was to take initiative, so I studied every day. But when it really mattered, I was helpless. Bevan kept blaming himself. Fortunately, the Empress was also in the Crown Prince's palace at the time. She immediately administered emergency treatment to the Crown Prince. His Majesty's expression was very grave. The royal physician explained the condition of the two to His Majesty. Although Her Highness the Princess ingested a relatively small dose, due to her young age, her reaction to the poison is very severe. Furthermore, at this point, the physician began to stammer. Finally, he revealed the worst-case scenario. His Highness the Crown Prince ingested a large amount of poison, so his life may be in danger. Hearing this news, the nobles present were all shocked. His Majesty, head bowed, asked, Is there any way to save them? The royal physician explained to His Majesty, At present, the key is to determine which poison they have ingested. Only then can we search for an antidote. Actually, the best solution would be to have a priest use divine power to heal them. However, the high priest and senior priests have gone on a pilgrimage to prepare for the spring festival. His Majesty bit his lip tightly, guessing that the culprit must have considered this point as well. The pilgrimage was a custom of the spring festival. It would take at least 3 to 4 days to bring the priest back. His Majesty appeared utterly helpless. Were Elsa and Isis going to die? Could the author declare the end of the entire story now? His Majesty, refusing to accept this, ordered all efforts to save the two. At this moment, one of the counts muttered in a low voice, On the sacred day of the spring festival, both their highnesses have been poisoned. This must be an ill omen. What could it mean? It must be a curse. Surely the gods are angry because the offerings were insufficient. The crown prince is not fit to be the heir. His Majesty stepped up to the count. What exactly do you mean by that? Do you think my son is an ill-fated person? The count immediately bowed and explained, Your Majesty, Majesty, I didn't mean it that way. I just thought it was an ominous sign. His Majesty was thoroughly enraged, his eyes filled with murderous intent. As you said, today is a sacred day, so I'll let you off the hook for now. The Count immediately expressed his gratitude. His Majesty continued, "But if you dare insult a member of the royal family in front of me again, I will cut out your tongue and feed it to the crows." The Count was terrified. "I deserve death. It's all because of my loose tongue." His Majesty didn't pursue the matter further and turned to leave. But the Count secretly smiled, as if everything was going according to his expectations. Princess Elsa, poisoned, remained unconscious. The mastermind behind the poisoning was still at large. Elsa's condition had been temporarily stabilized, but divine power was still needed to completely eliminate the poison from her body. The high priest and senior priest would need another 2 or 3 days to return. The Empress was extremely worried about Elsa, her eyes brimming with tears. Elsa remained in a state of constant nightmares. The scene shifted to Elsa's dream. The pitch-black space terrified the young Elsa. She instinctively looked around this unfamiliar place, as if searching for something. But her feet were bound by a massive iron ball. Soon, the dream's location changed. This was Elsa's appearance in her previous life, imprisoned in an underground dungeon. Elsa was in utter despair. How could my family become like this? Why do they only believe Mariana and refuse to listen to my explanation? I'm so heartbroken. Elsa curled up into a ball. At this moment, she was contemplating ending her life. Suddenly, another voice appeared in Elsa's mind. Is that really what you think? Don't you still have things you want to do? Yes, Elsa desperately wanted to know why they had tried to kill her. But at this point, pursuing those answers seemed meaningless. Everyone hated her, and Elsa no longer held any hope for them. The other voice comforted her. It's all right, because I believe in you. Those who love you are not here. They are waiting for you to return. Memories flashed before Elsa's eyes one by one. Her brother, her parents, they all loved and believed in Elsa. Elsa wiped away her tears. She firmly believed in her heart that she was no longer Elisa. I am the only princess of the Emile Empire. The iron chains at her feet gradually disappeared. Elsa broke free from the nightmare in her heart. She ran continuously towards the light ahead. But no matter how much Elsa ran, she seemed unable to get closer to that light. Elsa felt a bit lost. With a thud, she lay down on the grass. I can't give up yet. I need to think carefully about the light. Elsa closed her eyes, enjoying the sunlight. Is light my family? Elsa pondered for a moment. No, family is indeed light, but that's not all. I have light too. The people who have always loved me and the light I receive from them, all of these have warmed my heart. Accompanied by streaks of golden light emerging from her chest, Elsa remembered. Then she called out the name of the light spirit loudly. She confidently walked towards that golden light. The unconscious Elsa finally woke up, but her brother was still in a dangerous state. Would Elsa expose her spirit power to save her brother? Elsa, just awakened from her dream, murmured "Mother" in a daze. The Empress was so moved that tears streamed down her face. She then hugged Elsa tightly, repeating Elsa's name over and over. Elsa, held so tightly, could barely breathe. The Empress called for the royal physician. He said it was fortunate that Her Highness had regained consciousness and woken up. However, she still needed to continue treatment, rest well, and take good care of herself. The Empress reached out her small hand to caress Elsa's cheek. It's all right, Elsa, you just need to take medicine for a while and rest well. You'll recover soon. Remembering her brother, Elsa asked her mother about his condition. The Empress remained silent. The royal physician nearby told Elsa, His Highness Crown Prince Isis has ingested a large amount of poison. His condition is very critical now. To cure Crown Prince Isis, we must have the High Priest intervene. But he is currently on a healing pilgrimage and won't arrive until tomorrow afternoon at the earliest. Elsa was very worried. How could this happen? Although my poisoning wasn't severe, I still barely managed to wake up, and that should be thanks to the help of the light spirit. But my brother wasn't as lucky as me. At this point, Elsa couldn't hold back her tears. Elsa quickly got up from the bed. The Empress tried to stop her, but Elsa's attitude was very determined. The Empress had no choice but to take Elsa to see her brother. Elsa's arrival greatly surprised His Majesty. Elsa, why are you here? Are you feeling better? Elsa ignored her father, brushing past His Majesty and heading straight for her brother. The Empress helplessly explained, "I couldn't persuade her at all. She insisted on coming to see Isis herself." Elsa's condition was not good. She was still swaying a bit as she walked. Isis's condition was extremely poor. Even if ordinary priests used all their power, they couldn't improve her brother's situation. What if her brother never woke up? Elsa choked up at the thought. Then she summoned the light fairy. Lure appeared and immediately started crying, constantly worrying that her master might never wake up. Elsa suddenly asked seriously, "Can I summon the ultimate fairy now?" To save her brother, Elsa was willing to risk her life to summon the ultimate fairy. Having just woken up from poisoning, Elsa was still in a weakened state, her magic power very low. If she forcibly summoned the ultimate fairy, it could potentially endanger her life. But if she used a magic stone, it might be possible to succeed. Elsa knew that the healing abilities of low-level fairies were on par with the divine power of ordinary priests. To cure her brother, the only way was to make a contract with the ultimate fairy, even if it meant exposing her identity as a fairy master. Elsa took the magic stone from her neck. Is this magic stone enough? This was the magic stone Alcyn had given Elsa at the birthday banquet. Since then, Elsa had been wearing it constantly. Lure moved closer to examine it, scrutinizing it carefully. The exquisite sapphire was very beautiful, shimmering with a faint glow. Unexpectedly, the magic power in the stone had been completely depleted while you were unconscious. Elsa was very surprised. How could this be? The fairy explained to Elsa, "The reason you woke up so quickly was probably due to the protective magic in this stone. Once the magic is exhausted, the stone becomes useless." Elsa seemed a bit at a loss. Her parents, not knowing the reason, thought Elsa was experiencing mental confusion, talking to herself. The Empress quickly approached Elsa. "Are you feeling unwell? If you're tired, you should go back to your room to rest." Perhaps because Elsa was in a tense state, she didn't seem to hear her mother's words. She kept thinking about where to find magic power. Elsa inadvertently glanced at Bevan, seeming to remember something. "Can I borrow your magic stone?" Bevan was very surprised. So Elsa knew that Bevan was a magic swordsman. The ancient language book from before was also borrowed from Bevan. Watching Elsa draw the summoning circle, Bevan hesitated. "Princess Elsa, you haven't fully recovered, have you? Even if you do this, I'm afraid it will be in vain." For her brother's sake, Elsa forcibly summoned the ultimate fairy. A huge summoning circle suddenly appeared before everyone. Elsa placed the magic stone in the center of the summoning circle. She slowly extended her right hand and placed it on the spell. Although she was still very weak, Elsa persevered. "Spirits that construct all things, come and become my power." Instantly, the power of the magic stone and the summoning array were triggered. A brilliant red light illuminated the entire room. The air was accompanied by streaks of lightning. This was a sign of successful summoning, but Elsa felt her body's strength gradually disappearing. At first, there wasn't a very noticeable change. Later, it was like a faucet being turned on. Her strength gushed away. Summoning the ultimate spirit was more difficult than Elsa had imagined. Elsa began to have some difficulty breathing. Sweat kept dripping down her face. "Just hold on a little longer. Just a little longer, and it'll be fine." Elsa kept encouraging herself. "Now only I can save my brother." Elsa bit her lip hard. The magical power of the summoning array gradually increased. A faint figure appeared before Elsa's eyes. This was the ultimate light spirit. She was different from Lure. She looked like a mature lady, calm and dignified. The ultimate spirit introduced herself to Elsa. "Pleased to meet you. My name is Lemuel." Elsa looked at Lemuel, showing a relieved expression. Slowly standing up, she said, "Nice to meet you. I'm Elsa." As Elsa stood up, she felt her body was very heavy. It felt like she had done a lot of exercise. This situation might be because Elsa was still young. It could also be due to innate deficiency. But regardless, what mattered was that Elsa's physical strength and magical power were now insufficient. The moment Elsa extended her left hand, she looked up, her eyes fixed determinedly on Lemuel. "Let's form a contract." Lemuel slowly floated down from the air. She gently kissed Elsa's left hand, signifying Lemuel's agreement to the contract. Gradually, Lemuel's body began to materialize in everyone's sight. The Empress, standing nearby, was shocked at the sight of Lemuel. "Elsa, what's going on? Is this a fairy?" Elsa cleared her throat with effort. "She's not a fairy. She's a kind of spirit." Seeing her mother's bewildered look, Elsa couldn't speak anymore. If there was time, Elsa wanted to explain to her mother properly why she hadn't told her about her abilities until now. but there was no time. Elsa's magical power was too weak. Just summoning Lemuel was enough to make Elsa feel disoriented. Elsa now needed to save her brother. The spirit's power could help her. Elsa used spirit magic to treat Isis. Now what Elsa had to do was figure out how to use the spirit's power. Lemuel explained to Elsa, the spirit and the contractor become one from the moment the contract is signed. So no matter how far apart we are, you can use the spirit's power. However, the closer we are, the stronger the healing ability. But now the toxins in Elsa's body hadn't been cleared, and she had forcibly summoned the ultimate spirit, leaving her very weak. Lemuel had no choice but to possess Elsa's body. To provide power, Lemuel transformed into a golden light and entered Elsa's mind. Elsa's eyes turned the color of yellow sapphire. Isis's condition wasn't good now. His face was very pale. Elsa clenched her fists. All right, I can definitely do this. Then Elsa extended her hand towards Isis. The never-before-used ability flowed obediently into Elsa's body, immediately emitting a dazzling golden light. But Elsa found that healing a patient was more taxing than she had imagined. Isis let out a groan. Her brother showed noticeable improvement under the spirit's power. Elsa laughed with joy, but in the next instant, Elsa began to despair. Because Elsa's magical power was about to be exhausted. Was summoning the ultimate spirit not enough? Elsa recalled her memories with her brother. She knew she couldn't give up. She couldn't lose her brother. Without realizing it, Elsa's entire body was drenched in sweat. She silently shed tears. Brother, you can't die. Please open your eyes. I want to see your smile. Hot tears kept falling. Yes, Elsa felt uneasy. She felt desperate. Isis might really die. Even though tears blurred her vision, Elsa didn't dare wipe them away. Suddenly, the magic began to fade, and Elsa staggered and fainted. Fortunately, Bevan caught Elsa in time. Her parents were very worried about Elsa. Elsa shed tears again. Was relying on her alone really not enough? The healing effect, even if it could just last until the high priest arrived. Just then, a voice came from behind. Is this the world after death? Yes, His Highness Isis had awakened. Elsa excitedly jumped onto the bed and hugged Isis. Elsa's identity as a spirit master was exposed, but Elsa didn't tell everyone about her reincarnation. Elsa only explained to the priest how Isis was awakened. The priest was surprised that Elsa could summon spirits. The spirit book that Elsa had previously hidden from Isis was because Elsa's very existence was special. This ability didn't necessarily bring only benefits to Elsa. That Isis could be saved proved that they were all fortunate. The priest looked incredulous. After hesitating for a long time, he said, several priests and clerics couldn't wake the crown prince, yet the princess possesses such powerful healing abilities. Could it be that you are a holy maiden? Elsa explained to the priest, as I just said, I am a spirit master. After saying this, Elsa summoned Lure. The summoned deer seemed to notice that everyone around was looking at him. He gently lifted his skirt to greet everyone. Hello, I am a low-level light spirit. Looking at the adorable spirit, everyone couldn't help but exclaim. Goodness, to make everyone believe what Elsa said, she had to use this method to prove it to them first. The priest looked at Elsa with admiration. Princess, you possess such a powerful ability. I promise to fully support you from now on. The priest's reaction was more positive than Elsa had imagined. She was even given the title of Holy Maiden by the priest. Earlier, Elsa had worried whether this ability would be beneficial to her. But seeing the priest's attitude towards spirit masters, Elsa's heart eased a little. The mastermind behind framing the princess and the crown prince was given the highest punishment by His Majesty. The punishment methods were extremely cruel. The powerful healing ability earned Elsa the highest title from the priest. And all of this, Elsa had anticipated this day. But she wouldn't leave the secular world and convert to priesthood just because she received the title of Holy Maiden due to this power. She would stay in the palace, stay with her family. But she would make good use of this powerful healing ability to save more people. After finishing, Bevan said to His Majesty, now that the matter has been clarified and both their highnesses have shown improvement, I shall take my leave. His Majesty agreed to Bevan's request, but instructed that the day's events should be kept confidential for now. Just then, Isis called out to His Majesty, telling him that the matter couldn't end here. You must catch those who harmed Elsa and me. They must face the consequences of their actions, Isis said, his expression filled with hatred. This was the first time Elsa had seen her brother so determined and calm. His Majesty turned and walked slowly towards Isis. Of course, I will use all my power to find the mastermind behind this. To prevent such incidents from happening again, once we catch him, I will cut out his tongue, chop off his limbs, and execute his entire family. Finally, I'll hang his head on the city gate for the crows to feed on. Father placed his hand on Isis's head, comforting him, so you needn't worry. Focus on your recovery. His Majesty's words greatly reassured Isis. He even joked with his father, you should also poison the culprit's most beloved person in front of him. That would make us even. Yes, this tactic of fighting fire with fire is indeed sickening. Even Elsa and Bevan felt uneasy. They thought, they're truly terrifying. His Majesty smiled at Isis and said, I will fulfill your wish. Because Elsa risked her life to save Isis, she was confined to bed for 3 weeks. The kind-hearted nurse, who loved Elsa like her own child, doted on her immensely, feeding her spoonful by spoonful. Elsa was quite reluctant, feeling she wasn't a child anymore and only needed to stay in bed, not to be fed like this. Her grandmother soothed her. You can't say that. You need rest now and mustn't tire yourself at all. You're so weak, you even coughed up blood. Let me take care of you. Elsa had no choice but to accept reluctantly. The fairy nearby ignored everyone, focused solely on eating snacks. The day after saving Isis, the high priest returned in the afternoon. He immediately used his divine power to treat both royals, so there were no major concerns. However, the royal physician didn't dare to be negligent. He would come to check Elsa's pulse after every dinner and prepare medicinal soups using various precious herbs. The medicine smelled and tasted terrible. At such times, Elsa particularly hated the poisoner, but the culprit had already been caught. The emperor kept his word. He mobilized all the power among his officials to capture the culprit. The perpetrator turned out to be the insolent count from that day, a count from a northern territory who fervently worshipped the gods. During the interrogation, it was revealed that he poisoned them because he was dissatisfied with Isis inheriting the throne. That was the gist of the whole affair. Elsa sighed, feeling it all seemed like a farce. Elsa carefully analyzed the events that had transpired, feeling that things weren't as simple as they appeared. The poison Elsa ingested was the same as the one used to frame her in her previous life. Could that count be a spy sent by an enemy country? Since the count's arrest, his entire family had been sentenced to death. His Majesty wasn't satisfied with just executing the count's entire clan. Compared to the crime of attempting to murder royal family members, that punishment seemed insignificant. And was that count really poisoning them just because he was dissatisfied with Isis? Elsa believed that the risk of poisoning royal family members was too great. This reason simply didn't hold up. Moreover, the culprit had no need to poison themselves. Even if they claimed they wanted to eliminate Emil, targeting any of the royal descendants would have made more sense. Elsa sat on the bed, her expression extremely grave. A feeling of unease welled up in her heart, because the poison she had ingested was the same as the one Marianne had taken before. This was something only Elsa knew in her heart, but she couldn't rashly tell everyone about her reincarnation experience. It could easily cause unrest among the nobility. Thinking of this, Elsa couldn't help but clench her fists. Cold sweat kept streaming down her face. Why was it such a coincidence? What on earth was going on? Elsa's spoon dropped. This frightened her nurse. Why are you clutching your chest? Is your heart uncomfortable? Should I call the doctor right away? The nurse's continuous questions left Elsa unable to interject. It wasn't until Elsa shouted loudly, "I'm really fine," that the nurse was reassured. But Elsa knew herself. The real mastermind behind this hadn't been caught yet. Elsa stayed at home, recuperating for 3 weeks. Finally, she could go out. Whether it was the melodious birdsong or the pleasant floral scent wafting on the gentle breeze, everything seemed exceptionally beautiful. Who would want to be confined to a room for over 20 days? Although Elsa could only take a short 30-minute walk after lunch, compared to the past 3 weeks, this felt like a dream. A beautiful butterfly immediately caught Elsa's attention. Its fluffy white wings were slightly transparent, like pure white gauze. Elsa crouched in front of the butterfly, unable to help but exclaim, "How beautiful!" Elsa could enjoy such a beautiful sight. This was all thanks to the royal physician telling her mother that 30 minutes of sunlight each day would be beneficial for her recovery. Just as Elsa was silently thanking the royal physician, footsteps sounded from behind. It turned out that Isis had also come here for a walk. As soon as they met, they both expressed concern for each other's health in unison. "Are you feeling better?" The two chatted and laughed under the shade of a tree, complaining to each other about being stuck in their rooms all day, one unable to practice swordsmanship, the other forced to be spoon-fed. Actually, Isis had come to find Elsa with a purpose. Isis told Elsa that the captured count was not the real culprit. The mastermind was someone else. Elsa showed no reaction to these words, because Elsa had also deduced that the mastermind was someone else. Instead, it was Isis who was a bit surprised. "You don't seem shocked at all," Elsa calmly replied. "Brother, why are you only telling me this now?" Isis explained to Elsa that all along, you've always acted as calm as an adult, but you're only 7 years old now. We wanted to protect you properly, to prevent your mind from suffering any trauma. Father also had this reason, so he didn't tell you the truth about the matter. Elsa stared at her brother intently. "Since you brought this up now, does that mean you want to tell me who the real mastermind is?" Elsa had been framed and killed by the Edenbell Empire in her previous life. Now history seemed to be repeating itself. Isis didn't want to tell Elsa who the real mastermind was. In her brother's eyes, his sister was still just a 7-year-old child. Indeed, even if Elsa was born into the royal family, she's still a child, not yet 7 years old. Isis just wanted to protect Elsa, to protect everyone's treasure. Despite this, Elsa gently shook her head. "I want to know the truth, brother." Elsa's clear sapphire eyes were very determined. "Actually, I want to protect you too. Even if I'm still a child, I can protect you. Do you remember when I helped cure your illness last time? I also possess extraordinary power. Telling me the truth isn't a bad thing. To become stronger, I will continue to work hard." Elsa felt very proud as she said these words. At this moment, possessing the power of spirit made Elsa feel incredibly happy. Isis repeatedly confirmed, "Will you regret it?" Elsa didn't change her mind. "I won't regret it." Isis slowly told Elsa the truth. After Father's investigation, it was discovered that the masterminds were the royal family of the Eitenbell Empire. After hearing this, Elsa's face began to gradually turn pale. Yes, Elsa had been trying hard to deduce the mastermind behind this incident before, but Elsa never dreamed she would hear that name here. Elsa's expression became somewhat dazed. With a look of disbelief, she asked, "Was it really them behind this?" Isis nodded. "That's right. Although we're not sure exactly who planned it, we've already identified several suspects now. The Eitenbell Empire is fraught with internal conflicts. Due to Crown Prince Lachias's stain, the nobles have split into several factions. What stain? His younger sister, Elisa, was executed for attempting to murder a member of the royal family. Before Isis could finish, Elsa felt a chill run through her body upon hearing that name. She collapsed in front of her brother. Elsa was like a lost soul, her whole body trembling uncontrollably. Sensing something was wrong, Isis immediately called loudly for the royal physician. Elsa, shaking, grabbed her brother's clothes and pleadingly asked, "What does this have to do with the poisoning?" Isis didn't answer. "Elsa, you're not in a good state right now. Let's talk about this later." Suddenly, Elsa became very emotional. "Tell me quickly, why do they want to kill me?" Isis looked at Elsa, swallowed, and said, "We haven't found the reason yet. It's possible that the Crown Prince of Eitenbell wanted to divert internal conflicts to a foreign country. He wanted to stir up trouble in our country, and that count was a spy for the Eitenbell Empire. The Eitenbell royal family ordered him to kill me." Isis felt extremely guilty. He never thought his sister would be implicated. This was absolutely the most nauseating truth Elsa had ever heard from her brother. The past shadows overlapped with the present. It was bad enough that they killed Elsa in her previous life. Now they wanted to harm Elsa's family in this life, and even hurt Elsa again. Flames of hatred boiled within Elsa. She clenched her teeth tightly, trying hard to use rapid breathing to alleviate the anger in her heart. Isis also kept trying to calm Elsa down, but it seemed Elsa's emotions were completely out of control. The family of the Eitenbell Empire. The shadow they cast over Elsa had never been erased. Perhaps we can never truly describe in words the fear Elsa felt before her death. Both the servants nearby and Isis in front of her appeared extremely uneasy. I shouldn't have told you the truth. Let's go back. Our walk is over. Isis tried to get Elsa to return to her room to rest. But at this moment, Elsa told the maid Lena, "Please inform my nurse that I can't return yet. I have something to discuss with my brother." After curtsying, Lena left. Elsa tightly gripped her brother's arm, her expression as if she had lost her soul. "Brother, I have something to tell you. Do you want to hear my story?" Yes, Elsa was finally going to confess to Isis the secret of her reincarnation. But Elsa was still somewhat worried. Would he really believe what she was about to say? Isis didn't understand Elsa's meaning. "Elsa, what could make you so?" Before Isis could finish, Elsa interrupted her brother. "I've had memories since birth." Isis, who was about to comfort Elsa with his hand, suddenly stopped. "Not only that, I can't forget what happened in my previous life. In my past life, I was the fourth princess of the Itenbel Empire. I was falsely accused of trying to poison my sister Marianne, but I was innocent. They kept pressuring me relentlessly. They even said they found poison in my wardrobe. I had no way to explain myself. Everyone believed I was the culprit. In the end, I was sentenced to death." Elsa spoke softly. "Even now, I haven't escaped that narrow, dark underground prison. Those memories of drinking only putrid water every day." Elsa's voice, as she described this, gradually became as weak as a small boat drifting in a storm. But would Isis believe what Elsa was saying? Even if Isis believed her, would he, as the future king, allow Elsa to relive her nightmare for the sake of their empire's security? Elsa confessed to Isis the secret of her reincarnation. But this incredibly painful story sounded so absurd when spoken aloud. The family she once loved would wrongly accuse and kill her based on such flimsy evidence. Elsa cried out hoarsely, "I never wanted to kill Marianne. I never wanted to hurt anyone." Hot tears fell uncontrollably. Elsa clenched her fists, looking at her brother with a very determined gaze. "But I am innocent. Please believe me." Elsa seemed to have some worry in her heart. "I've told my brother everything. What will he say? Will he believe me?" "I believe you." Isis's firm answer made Elsa suddenly look up. Those unwavering emerald eyes looked at Elsa. "I believe you were once a princess of the Itenbel Empire, and that you never intended to kill your sister. I believe your words." Elsa was at a loss. "But don't you think it's absurd? I actually reign. My sister is very kind. She could never harbor thoughts of killing others." Isis's smile seemed to warm Elsa. Elsa's small body was tightly embraced by Isis. Isis emphasized once again, "I believe you." Elsa, without realizing it, was already in tears. She burst into tears in her brother's embrace. Elsa, after her rebirth, still couldn't escape the shadows of her past life. It felt as if time had stopped at the age of 14. But with Isis's trust, the sands of time seemed to restart and begin flowing again. After confiding everything to her brother, Elsa's untold grievances seemed to find a voice, proclaiming Elsa's innocence to the world. The nightmare buried in Elsa's heart for 7 years was finally shattered. At this moment, Elsa was no longer the Elsa of her past life. She wanted to raise the flag of revenge against the Itenbel Empire. Elsa clenched her fists tightly. She confessed her thoughts to her brother. "Brother, I want revenge. I want to uncover the truth and prove my innocence. Elisa is still my past self. I can't run away from this fact anymore." Both Elsa's words and her eyes showed her determination for this revenge. Isis took out a handkerchief from his pocket. He wiped Elsa's tear-stained cheeks. "Everything will be as you wish. I'll help clear your name. I'll make the whole world remember your existence. I'll make everyone in the Itenbel Empire beg for your forgiveness." Elsa and Isis laid down under the shade of a tree. Through the wide branches, they could see the blue sky and white clouds. The dappled sunlight was warm. Elsa, struggling against her drowsiness, said to her brother, "I feel like this life is like a dream. But even if it's a dream, it doesn't matter." Isis gently stroked Elsa's small hand. "This isn't a dream. We both truly exist." Perhaps because she was too happy now, Elsa feared losing this happiness and mistook it for just a dream. "If this really is your dream, I'll stay with you in it forever. Sleep well, my dear sister." Isis's words were like a lullaby. The scene shifts to Elsa's dream. In the pitch-black space, the young Elsa lost her sense of direction. It was Isis's hand that held onto Elsa's. The two smiled at each other and walked hand in hand towards that dazzling light. He was the one who planned the poisoning of Isis and Elsa, the prince of the Itenbel Empire, who was also Elisa's brother in her past life, Lacheus. Due to the failure of poisoning the crown prince of the Emil Empire a few weeks ago, he was now very worried. He had also lost the count from the Emil Empire, who had been cultivated as an important spy. For Lacheus, this was not only a huge loss, but also a painful failure. If people found out that this incident was related to the Itenbel Empire, it would not only be difficult for the two countries to maintain peace, but it might even lead to war. Lacheus had originally intended to poison Isis to throw the Emil Empire into chaos. Then he would use this opportunity to slowly accumulate his efforts, and his own blemishes would gradually be forgotten. They wouldn't become stumbling blocks to his rise to power. He could even easily swallow them up. Lacheus clicked his tongue. I've heard that the emperor of the Emil Empire is not a man who will let things go easily. If they get hold of evidence, within a few years, the relationship between the two empires will completely break down. However, the Itenbel Empire also possesses powerful military strength. They won't fear the Emil Empire. It's unfortunate that the plan to assassinate Isis failed. The Emil Empire will likely be on guard against similar incidents happening again. Because of this, Lacheus needs to calm down and rationally deal with the worst-case scenario, coming up with the most suitable solution. Lacheus slowly lifted his foot and continued walking deeper into the temple. Inside the Lina temple, there was a huge prayer room. Usually, one could see a group of people gathered here, but today it was occupied by a single person. She wore a pure white veil on her head. With hands clasped in prayer, she appeared incredibly devout. But Crown Prince Lacheus looked at her with displeasure. You're praying here again? Brother Olaf, she called to Lacheus in a sweet voice, turning to look at him. The pure white veil, the breathtakingly beautiful silver hair, and the golden pupils most revered in the empire. From every angle, she was so endearing. She was Lacheus's half-sister, Marianne. Do you know why Elsa was able to be reborn? Do you know which deity was most worshipped in Elsa's country in her previous life? In Elsa's world, each country had its own deity they believed in. The deity worshipped by the Emil Empire was the god of light, Lumens. Also known as the legendary king of spirits, he symbolized victory and honor, possessing powerful healing abilities. He was also called the god of life. The Itenbel Empire worshipped a deity completely different from the Emil Empire. The deity worshipped by the Itenbel Empire was Selena, known as the moon goddess and the goddess of vengeance. It was said that her personality was extremely calm, even to the point of being cold. But among the capricious deities, she was the most just. That's why the people of Itenbel revered her as the primary deity. Selena had sapphire-colored hair and golden eyes that overlooked the world. When facing unfair situations, people would first run to Selena's temple to pray, beseeching the fair goddess to right their wrongs. But the most ironic thing was, this empire that worshipped Selena so devoutly, when Elsa was framed, they didn't provide her with the so-called justice. There was a saying in the Itenbel Empire, in front of Selena's temple, wait for your enemy's corpse to appear there. In other words, if one committed an unjust act, they would face Selena's retribution. Perhaps this was the reason why Marianne often monopolized Selena's temple. After Elsa's eyes were gouged out, she had prayed to Lady Selena, do I really have no chance for revenge or redemption? If so, then please let me die immediately. And in my next life, don't let me be reborn as a human. Let me become an unloved, insignificant insect. Why did Marianne often monopolize Selena's temple? Was it because she was revered by all as a holy maiden? Lacheus was curious. Even though there was a prayer room in the Itenbel Palace, she still chose to pray at Selena's temple. Marianne gazed at Lady Selena and answered Lacheus with a voice full of longing. But I still feel that praying here allows me to sense Lady Selena's presence more strongly. Then Marianne smiled and asked Lacheus, did you come specifically to see me today? Yes, and Marianne was very happy about it. Lacheus looked at the smiling Marianne and felt an inexplicable pain in his head. The image of Elsa from her previous life began to appear before his eyes. In his memory, her voice should have been gentle and lovely. The spring breeze would blow through her distinctive long black hair. Her luminous green eyes always blinked happily. She would often smile at people. Everyone liked her back then. Thinking about this, Lacheus suddenly furrowed his brow. He began to have a headache for no apparent reason. Lacheus felt very confused. Why do I get a headache every time I think about her? Marianne, standing nearby, asked her brother worriedly, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell somewhere?" Lacheus hadn't yet reacted. In his mind, he was still constantly thinking about that child's voice. "I'm Fine. I can talk to you about the Emil Empire." Lacheus told Marianne about the poisoning attempt on Isis. But Marianne's response made Lacheus feel very ironic. She, being a holy maiden, actually felt regret that the poisoning had failed. Why does Lacheus get a headache every time he thinks about Elisa? Could it be that Marianne has placed a curse on him? Lacheus recalled those years. The news of Elisa attempting to poison Marianne and being sentenced to death was spread far and wide. Moreover, although his birth mother was the empress at the time, to prove her innocence in the matter, she personally sent Elisa to the guillotine. And as Elisa's own brother, he still couldn't shake off the suspicion of assisting her in harming Marianne. Since ancient times, to become an emperor above all, one must be without any blemish. Fortunately, other brothers and sisters supported his succession to the throne, but other nobles might not. They could very well use his blemish to promote other royal family members as candidates. The power struggle between the nobles and the emperor has always been intense, so their attack on him was inevitable. To silence the nobles, he must achieve great merit, such as conquering the Emil Empire. Elisa not only attempted to kill Marianne, but even implicated me. How annoying, Lacheus thought as he looked at his palm, involuntarily recalling that time. When we were young, the relationship between us siblings was indeed quite good. At this moment, Lacheus suddenly experienced another bout of headache. We used to have a good relationship, right? Lacheus's expression looked exactly like someone under a curse. Forget it. It's just useless thoughts. There's no point in remembering someone who's already dead. With this conclusion, he fell silent and extended his hand to Marianne. "If you're done praying, let's return to the palace." Marianne carefully stood up from the long bench in the prayer room and grasped Lacheus's hand. The moment she held his hand, Lacheus felt a stinging sensation. Her hand was extremely cold, matching her current icy countenance. And he remembered Elisa's hand was very warm. Lacheus slowly walked towards the main door. Behind him, Marianne silently watched. An evil smile appeared on her face. But Lacheus, who had turned his back, missed her expression. When Lacheus turned back, Marianne was smiling very happily, just like a beautiful poisonous butterfly. Do you know why Isis lost his mother at such a young age? Actually, Isis's mother had always been sickly since childhood. After giving birth to Isis, her health deteriorated even further. Young Isis would stay by his mother's side every day, encouraging her. After his mother passed away, Isis blamed himself for everything and became depressed all the time. Meanwhile, Isis's maternal grandfather began his own machinations to help Isis secure the throne. During the power struggle among the nobles, Isis faced countless attacks. What Isis couldn't understand was why his grandfather was so obsessed with the throne. But from a rational perspective, as the eldest legitimate son of the empire, Isis's position could still be jeopardized after his mother's death, even though the emperor said he would name Isis as the sole crown prince. No one could predict what might happen to his grandfather's family, or how Isis's situation might change if the next empress bore a child. This led Isis to distrust everyone, silently working alone to secure his position as crown prince. However, the situation has become even more precarious recently. After Alice became the new empress, every time his grandfather met Isis, he would warn him to be cautious of the new empress. But Isis felt that Alice was a good person. Both her tone of voice and her expressions were gentle. Isis didn't want to get involved in the adults' power struggles, let alone risk his life for it. So Isis always avoided Empress Alice. After his mother's death, Isis never opened up to anyone again. The newly appointed Empress Alice tried multiple times to get closer to Prince Isis, but whenever they met, Isis would deliberately avoid Empress Alice. This made Empress Alice very worried about Isis's future, but she didn't give up on him. She tried to guide Isis through letters and would actively try to engage him in conversation. But Isis always responded perfunctorily. He also didn't cherish the gifts Empress Alice sent him. In truth, these behaviors weren't Isis's true intentions. Isis had often thought, if only someone could see past his identity as a prince and just treat him as Isis, the person, and if such a person were to appear, he would spare no expense, be it money or even his life. Time flew by, and Empress Alice had been in the palace for a year. At this moment in the palace, Empress Alice was discussing her pregnancy with His Majesty. Everyone was very excited about this. They were all discussing whether the child would be a prince or princess. To welcome the new life, a servant said they would go prepare the new palace. Little did they know that their conversation was overheard by Isis. In fact, Isis loved to play alone on the small hill near the new palace. It seems he won't be able to go there anymore. Isis turned away disappointedly, thinking he would visit for the last time tomorrow. The sound of footsteps gradually faded outside the door. It seemed to make Empress Alice aware of something. The weather was very clear the next day, but Isis felt very reluctant, thinking this would be his last time here. At this moment, Empress Alice's voice came from behind. Isis was very surprised. "What are you doing here? Since you're here, I'll be leaving now." After saying this, Isis strode away, but unexpectedly, he tripped over a stone. He tumbled all the way down to the bottom of the slope. Do you remember when Elsa first spoke to her family? After the birthday party ended, Empress Alice had sent someone early to deliver an invitation to Isis. The main content was if he had nothing to do tomorrow afternoon, they could go on an outing together. After reading the letter, Isis immediately sent someone to reply to the Empress that he would arrive on time. The next day, the weather was clear. In spring, the blooming flowers were all smiling at the sun. Empress Alice, carrying Elsa, entered the garden. At this moment, before Elsa's eyes, the proud garden of the Emil Empire slowly revealed itself. The servants had prepared food for Elsa's family very early. From Elsa's perspective, there were delicious chocolate cakes and sweet fruits, as well as brewed red tea, and so on. In fact, Elsa and Isis would see each other every day, but they had never formally eaten together. This outing made them both very happy. Since accepting her new family, Elsa had been very happy every day, accompanied by the gentle spring breeze. Elsa felt a slight chill and a bit of drowsiness. She gently closed her eyes. Isis, however, still seemed to be playing excitedly. Although Elsa wanted to spend more time with Isis, her child's body was uncontrollably tired. Just then, Isis suddenly asked the Empress how children were born. Hearing Isis's question, Elsa awoke from her drowsiness. The air in the courtyard was instantly frozen. Isis blinked his innocent green eyes, his face full of curiosity. Although I've searched various books, none of them recorded how children are born. So I really want to ask you, how exactly are children born? Isis went on and on about how he had searched for methods of childbirth. Empress Alice seemed a bit at a loss. Elsa pretended to know nothing and quickly closed her eyes. In fact, in Elsa's previous life, she had learned about this kind of education. But Isis was only 9 years old. He hadn't received this kind of education yet. Empress Alice quickly came up with an explanation. Before Elsa was born, wasn't my belly round? Children grow like seeds inside their mother's body. After 10 months, they mature and come out on their own. Elsa was puzzled. Would her brother believe this explanation? Although it was an explanation to comfort children, it was clear the Empress had tried her best. Empress Alice, to prove she was serious, maintained her facial expression without much change. Isis still looked a bit confused, but soon he seemed to understand. So children were like dandelion seeds. After Isis rolled down the slope, Empress Alice was very worried. Despite being pregnant, she hurriedly rushed towards Isis. Before Isis could finish thinking, he shouted, "Dangerous!" The next moment, Empress Alice cupped Isis's face with both hands. She shook his head left and right, checking if Isis was injured. Upon learning that Isis's knee was scraped, Empress Alice seemed at a loss. "Oh no, what should we do? How did you get hurt so badly?" As she spoke, tears filled her eyes. Isis, still maintaining his aloof demeanor, shook off Empress Alice's hands. "You don't need to worry about me." "How can I not worry? You're bleeding so much." Before Empress Alice could finish, Isis interrupted her. "It's just a scraped knee. What's there to make a fuss about? It's nothing. Stop fussing over me. Your concern only puts pressure on me. Besides, you're pregnant. You shouldn't have run so hastily just now." After speaking, Isis became nervous. He thought, is he angry? I deliberately said hurtful things. He must be angry now. Why didn't I think of sitting like this before? He realized he shouldn't have avoided her, but rather hurt her and left. Isis slowly stood up. "I'll take my leave now. Don't worry about me anymore. Just focus on what you need to do." After saying this, Isis turned to leave. Empress Alice called out Isis's name behind him, trying to make him stop. With each call, Isis reluctantly closed his eyes. He must have hurt her with his cold and heartless response. She might never write to him again. She wouldn't bother him anymore. She might not even smile at him again. Isis clenched his teeth, holding back tears. But the next second, Empress Alice called out to Isis loudly. Isis was named Crown Prince, and Empress Alice's belly was growing bigger. Isis thought that after saying hurtful things, Empress Alice wouldn't pay attention to him anymore. But the next moment, Empress Alice suddenly picked up Isis. She sternly told Isis not to move. Then, Empress Alice carried Isis to a rock. She tore a piece of cloth from her own clothes and began bandaging Isis's wound. Isis was still in a daze from being suddenly picked up. Empress Alice suddenly said, "Why don't you take care of yourself? Seeing your knee bleeding makes me so angry." Isis was stunned. Is the Empress upset because of me? Is it really because of me? Empress Alice continued, "Do you know how important you are? I cherish you like a treasure. Yet you tell me not to care about you. Why? Is it because I'm not your birth mother?" After hearing Empress Alice's words, Isis felt somewhat guilty. For a long time after that day, Isis didn't hear any news from Empress Alice. Not long after, Isis was about to participate in the Crown Prince's enthronement ceremony. Isis knew that the reason for holding the enthronement ceremony so quickly was probably to consolidate his position before the birth of Her Majesty, the Empress's child. This way, his grandfather would surely be very happy. But besides him, who else would be happy for him? If that was really the case, what was the point of the Crown Prince's enthronement ceremony? Was he to be his grandfather's puppet for life? Thinking about this, Isis felt somewhat irritated. He had no real reason to stay here, but he had nowhere else to go either. Isis looked out the window. How he wished he could turn into a bird and fly away. At this moment, Isis picked up the handkerchief given to him by Empress Alice. He couldn't help but recall what Empress Alice had said to him. Don't be indifferent to your own pain in the future. Don't underestimate yourself. If it hurts, say it out loud. Isis looked at the handkerchief in his hand. It seemed like they hadn't seen each other for a long time. In a few more months, Elsa would be born. In Empress Alice's palace, baby items were everywhere. Today, Empress Alice specially invited Isis to the palace for tea. But Empress Alice quickly got to the point. I have a favor to ask of you. Hearing these words, Isis was stunned. Sure enough, his grandfather was right. Just as he was about to become crown prince, Empress Alice would surely have something to ask of him. But the favor Empress Alice asked next completely shattered Isis's suspicions about her. After my child is born, I hope you could be a good big brother. Isis was very surprised. Yes, this child is likely to be a girl. I hope you two can get along well. This was the first time someone hoped Isis would do something for others, not in his capacity as a prince. Empress Alice, seeing that Isis hadn't answered her, became a bit nervous. Am I asking too much of you? Isis was silent for a moment. No, I can consider it. After that day, Isis often visited the Empress's palace. Isis, who once thought he had nowhere to go, found reality exceeding his expectations. The Empress's palace was very warm. Every day, Isis would lie on Empress Alice's belly, listening for his sister's movements. The baby in the Empress's belly would stretch, kick, and twist her body. All of this both amazed Isis and made him feel happy. This was also his first time becoming a big brother. This fact made Isis very content. The Emil Empire held a month-long crown prince enthronement ceremony for Isis. But Isis had never wanted to become crown prince. He just wanted to survive in the power struggle. And all of this was forced upon him by his grandfather. Isis lowered his head, using one sentence to vent to his grandfather the pressure he shouldn't have to bear in the power struggle. I'm really tired. At this moment, Isis's tears were about to flow. He clenched his fists tightly. Would his grandfather understand him? Although he didn't know how he would react, he really wanted to say it out loud. He wasn't born just to become someone else's spouse. Even if his grandfather didn't understand him, Isis wouldn't regret expressing his thoughts. Just as Isis closed his eyes tightly, mustering the courage to speak his mind, his grandfather slowly crouched down and said to Isis, "I'm sorry, child. I've known for a long time that you didn't want to become the crown prince." Isis was very confused. Then why did you always? You might think I'm making excuses, but I had no choice either. Your mother passed away early, and you're the only child she left behind. His grandfather held Isis's arms with both hands. I just wanted to protect you with all my might. However, it seemed like I was trying to satisfy my own ambition. Your eyes are exactly like Thetis's. Looking into your eyes, I remind myself to do everything I can to protect my daughter's child. Hearing this, Isis couldn't help but recall the image of his mother before she passed away. But Isis quickly told his grandfather, "You were wrong to warn me that the Empress was an enemy. Empress Alice is a good person." His grandfather lowered his head. "You're right. I misjudged Empress Alice. She should still be in the palace, probably busy preparing for your enthronement ceremony. Do you want to go see her?" Isis smiled brightly. "I'll go right now." Time flew by. 7 years had passed since Elsa confided the secret of her rebirth to Isis. Today was Elsa's 14th birthday. The wet nurse came to Elsa's room early, urging her to get up. But Elsa lingered in bed, not wanting to rise. The wet nurse told Elsa that today was an important day. In her half-asleep state, Elsa slowly remembered that today was her birthday. A loving smile appeared on the wet nurse's face as she gently hugged Elsa, saying, "Happy 14th birthday to you." Without realizing it, Elsa had grown as tall as an adult's shoulder. Her silver-like long hair now reached her waist. But what made Elsa happiest was that she would come of age in just a few more years. Elsa arrived at the palace's reception room. His Majesty and the Empress were sitting inside. Seeing her smiling parents, Elsa greeted them with an affectionate voice. But His Majesty immediately noticed that Elsa looked somewhat tired. It turned out that Elsa's birthday gifts had filled the entire room, keeping her busy all morning. These gifts were all sent from various countries. His Majesty suggested that if Elsa didn't like them, she could put them all in storage. Hearing His Majesty's words, Empress Alice smiled happily. The Empress had always worried about Elsa's status in the palace as a princess. Seeing her daughter valued by so many people put her mind at ease. Elsa had received the title of Holy Maiden at the age of 7, and the Emil Empire hadn't seen a holy maiden in decades. The sudden appearance of a holy maiden in the temple drove people into a frenzy. As a result, even more people paid attention to Elsa. But Elsa still complained a bit that the gifts she received were too extravagant. At this moment, His Majesty suddenly spoke. "Now it's my turn to give a gift." His Majesty took out a map. Elsa was curious. Surely her father wouldn't just give her a map? But soon Elsa realized, yes, His Majesty's gift was an island rich in diamond resources. Do you know how extravagant Elsa's 14th birthday gifts were? Her father and brother gave her Diamond Island, rich in diamond resources. Her mother gave her a trip abroad and a villa in the southern part of the empire. However, Diamond Island was the only source of income for the Principality of Leyden. It shouldn't have been given to the Emil Empire, but thanks to the efforts of Isis as a diplomatic envoy, they managed to acquire Diamond Island. Just then, a knocking sound came from outside. It was Isis, who was late due to his morning exercise. Isis was already 22 years old this year. After participating in the coming-of-age ceremony, Isis officially started calling Elsa's mom mother. Now, Isis was so handsome that Elsa could hardly look at him directly. He was both gentle and sincere, exuding a unique charm. Combined with his excellence in both literary and martial arts and his flawless appearance, Isis seemed to have become a prince from a fairy tale. He had countless admirers and was the empire's #1 bachelor. But Isis rejected all those endless suitors. Fortunately, he didn't have a fiancé copyright yet. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had so much time to spend with Elsa. After Elsa's excitement, she remembered that matter. How did they acquire Diamond Island from the Principality of Leyden? Isis looked at Elsa indulgently. Most people approved. "I hope you like this gift." Elsa was still surprised that they managed to get the country's important ministers to agree to give her Diamond Island. Although it was truly a gift to her liking. If a Diamond Island was her 14th birthday gift, how terrifying would her next birthday gift be? All sorts of thoughts popped into Elsa's mind, and she quickly shook her head. The Empress suddenly put down her teacup. "I don't mind you showing off your gifts, but I haven't revealed mine yet." Elsa was curious about what gift her mother would give. Then Empress Alice smiled gently and said, "The gift I want to give you is a trip. I've also prepared a villa for you in the southern part of the empire. The climate there is warm, the scenery is pleasant, and it's a perfect place for relaxation and leisure." Due to her family's overprotectiveness, unless absolutely necessary, they wouldn't let Elsa go outside the palace. However, this was also what Elsa was most dissatisfied with, not being able to leave the palace. Even Isis, as the heir, had gone out several times. Only she had never been out. But Empress Alice seemed to have mind-reading abilities, seeing through Elsa's thoughts. In the blink of an eye, Elsa's birthday party had reached the evening. All the nobles were looking forward to the last part of this banquet. Elsa would personally use her Holy Maiden powers to heal injured civilians. However, as gifts from various countries kept pouring in, people paying attention to Elsa included not only the citizens of the Emil Empire, but also others from all over the world. This fact put enormous pressure on Elsa. Even before the banquet began, Elsa was already afraid, because everything Elsa did had to be perfect. Now, Elsa represented not only the Emil royal family, but also the Imperial Temple that believed in Luminous. Although the Imperial Temple agreed to let Elsa remain in the secular world, they required her to heal the Empire's citizens every year on her birthday. In truth, Elsa didn't want the title of Holy Maiden, nor did she want excessive attention from others. But Elsa undoubtedly still possessed Lord Luminous's spirit power. To prove her omnipotence and share this blessing, Elsa, as a princess, had to bear this obligation. People had given her so much love, and she was very grateful. If the Empire's citizens were groaning in pain due to illness, and she had the ability to heal them, what reason could she have to refuse? After the poisoning incident, the story of Elsa receiving the power of the god of light to heal the people began to shock the entire continent and brought about a huge response. Since the age of 8, Elsa had been constantly learning how to correctly use the power of the spirits. As her age increased and her spiritual power grew, Elsa's healing ability became stronger. Under the effect of this halo, every country knew Elsa's name. Regardless of their status, Elsa would use her spirit power to heal them. It was also thanks to Lure's comfort that Elsa could breathe a sigh of relief. Just then, the sound of a door opening came from behind. Elsa turned to look. A boy was standing there. His flame-like short, red hair shone brightly under the lamplight. Bevan's arrival surprised Elsa greatly. He was still Isis's close friend. Now, he had become the vice-captain of the royal guard. That day, to save Isis, Elsa had borrowed the red magic stone from him, and that magic stone was still kept in Elsa's jewelry box to this day. Originally, Elsa had planned to return it to him. But when she heard him laugh and say he hoped it would bring her good luck, Elsa had no choice but to keep it. So Elsa had 2 magic stones in total. One was given by young Master Bevan, and the other was from her good friend Alson in her previous life. After a simple greeting, Bevan informed Elsa that the ceremony was about to begin. Everyone was looking for her. Elsa happily replied, "Then let's go." Bevan, looking at Elsa's back, couldn't help but feel that the princess had something on her mind. "If you need help, you can always tell me. After all, we're all by your side. We'll definitely help you." Elsa turned and responded, "Of course, I won't forget that. Young Master Bevan, thank you." The sacred ceremony finally began. Elsa took a deep breath and called out to the ultimate spirit, Lemuel, in a clear voice. Immediately, a golden light appeared in the air. A golden-haired girl slowly appeared before everyone. The miraculous phenomenon left the nobles in awe. Is this a spirit? Unlike when she was 7 years old, Elsa was now capable of summoning the ultimate spirit. This might be related to Elsa summoning and talking to them every day. Through constant attempts, Elsa's magical power was also continuously increasing. And with age, her spiritual power was naturally increasing as well. Thanks to this, Elsa's healing ability grew stronger year by year. Elsa asked Lemuel, "Can you heal him?" Lemuel approached the patient. A golden light once again appeared before everyone. At the same time, Elsa could feel that the magical power being transmitted from her body was very abundant. So, Elsa didn't need to heal the patient at the cost of her own life. As the bandages slowly fell away, the patient's eyes were restored under the healing magic. At that moment, thunderous applause and cheers of "Long live the Holy Maiden" erupted throughout the banquet hall. After completing the healing, Lemuel returned to Elsa's side. "Thank you, Lemuel," Elsa said, gently stroking her hand. The patient who had been healed by Elsa looked on in disbelief. He had thought he would spend the rest of his life in darkness. "Thank you, Your Highness," he said, his gratitude infectious. The entire banquet hall was filled with cheers of "Long live the Holy Maiden." Elsa looked at them happily. After the poisoning incident involving Elsa, the Itenbell Empire had not taken any unusual actions in the past 7 years. But Isis hadn't been idle. To help Elsa get revenge, he trained even harder with his sword. And Elsa, to become proficient in using her abilities, had been diligently studying spirit magic. They worked so hard to ensure they would never again be caught off guard and manipulated as they had been before. Due to Elsa's overuse of spirit power the day before, her entire body now ached. However, a few days of rest would be enough for her to recover. Lying in bed lost in thought, Elsa found herself feeling a bit bored, so she asked her nurse to fetch something for her. Elsa smiled mischievously. Yes, the place Elsa wanted to go was related to the birthday gifts from her parents. One was a map of Diamond Island, and the other was a map of the Southern Villa. Which of these two places should she visit first? She had heard that Diamond Island was ceded by the Principality of Liaden to form an alliance with them. The Principality of Liaden had been independent from the Emil Empire for nearly 100 years, but their national power hadn't grown strong. Liaden's foundation was still in the Emil Empire, so they probably wanted to develop their country through the empire. Moreover, the Emil Empire's archenemy, the Itenbel Empire, was located on the northern border. Therefore, the Principality of Liaden greatly needed an alliance with her country. Whenever Elsa heard news about the Empire's situation, she became very sensitive. Fortunately, Empress Alice had given her a villa, so she could also relax her mind a bit. The southern villa had a warm climate and beautiful natural scenery. In summer, nobles would come here for vacation and engage in various social activities. And this was Elsa's travel destination. It was Elsa's first time embarking on a journey. Even in her previous life, Elsa had never traveled. After saying goodbye to her family, Elsa set off from the imperial city towards the southern villa. This was also Elsa's first time seeing a space portal. Your Majesty, because the High Priest couldn't arrive in time during the royal poisoning incident. He deeply understood the importance of transportation. Since then, he had invested heavily in mobile magic arrays. So Elsa was fortunate enough to ride the newly created space portal this time. It only took a few minutes to reach the south, but it still took 3 hours to walk from the portal to the villa. The bumpy little road actually added to the fun of the journey. Soon, Elsa closed her eyes and fell into a blissful sleep in the warm sunlight. The carriage slowly came to a stop. "Your Highness, we've arrived," called the coachman. At the coachman's call, Elsa rubbed her eyes, trying hard to wake from her slumber. Then a picturesque estate came into view. A jade-colored villa stood tall in the estate. In the gentle summer breeze and golden sunlight, flowers were in full bloom. The entire villa was built with marble. Although Elsa saw luxurious palaces every day, she couldn't help but exclaim repeatedly at the sight before her. It's truly beautiful, and it was completely different from the ornate style of the palace. She believed she would definitely fall in love with this place. What kind of experience would it be for a princess to live in such a picturesque villa? The garden had fragrant white roses. The interior had enthusiastic servants and delicious dinners. And even the entire villa was under the protection of a magical barrier. In fact, magicians held a very high status in the empire. Therefore, the cost of investing in a magical protection network was also enormous. At this moment, the maid suddenly informed Elsa, "Someone has sent you an invitation." Elsa was surprised. She had just arrived here today, yet someone had already sent an invitation so quickly. The maid approached Elsa with a thick stack of invitations, the quantity of which startled Elsa. The maid quickly told Elsa, "This one is from the Blair family. They're one of the most prestigious families in the South. Moreover, Marquis Blair has a daughter about your age. The daughter of Marquis Blair is called Rose Blair. She is 13 years old this year. Due to the Blair family's own fame, she is already quite well known in social circles. However, she hasn't officially entered society yet." For Elsa, friends made during travel were extraordinary. "I've decided. I want to go to the Blair family." In the evening, Elsa and Lure were enjoying the night view on the balcony. Elsa had spent most of her time in the palace before and never had the chance to make new friends. In the past, the Empress had Elsa attend some social occasions, but rather than making friends, Elsa preferred to stay with her family at that time. Speaking of this, Elsa couldn't help but think of her only friend, Alson. Elsa stared blankly at the moon, hoping she could become friends with Rose Blair. It was indeed too lonely without friends. "Lure, you count as my friend, right?" Elsa looked at Lure with sincere eyes. Lure slowly floated up from the table. "Of course. When I was in the spirit realm, no one had ever summoned me. So when I first heard your voice, I was truly happy. From a long time ago, I have been searching for someone who needed me. Finally finding you makes me feel very blessed. Without realizing it, the first season of embracing the sunlight again was coming to an end. The long unseen Spirit King also gradually appeared before the audience. However, the Spirit King's appearance was not in Elsa's reality, but in her dream. In the dream, Elsa was lying alone on a cliff. Flowers of various sizes bloomed before her eyes, their petals dancing and flying towards her. Where is this? Elsa sat up dazedly, supporting herself. Soon, Elsa saw a blond young man standing at the edge of the cliff in the distance. She couldn't help but wonder internally, who is he? Before Elsa could react, a golden bird flew from the sky and landed on the young man's hand. Then, the man and the bird gently touched foreheads. This should be the bird expressing affection to its master. Elsa stared intently at that man from the other side. Suddenly, the blond young man turned his head and made eye contact with Elsa. This caused Elsa to suddenly wake up from her dream. The awakened Elsa didn't calm down, and her heart rate gradually increased. After taking several deep breaths, she finally calmed down. But this dream continued to puzzle Elsa. The scene changed. Elsa was now seated in a carriage heading towards the scenic spot. As the weather in the south was warmer than in the north, Elsa wore a blue striped dress. The maid beside her informed Elsa of today's itinerary. First, they would circle around Andre Plain, then admire the canyon. We can see steep cliffs and beautiful scenery in the canyon. It's known for its treacherous terrain across the continent, so it's rarely visited by people. Hearing the word cliff, Elsa couldn't help but recall the cliff from her dream. As time slowly passed, Elsa's group soon arrived at Casca Canyon. This was a branch of the continent's highest mountain range. Elsa looked up at the scenery before her, unable to suppress a gasp of admiration. But soon, Elsa's expression gradually froze. The flower on the cliff was exactly the same as the one Elsa had seen in her dream. At first glance, this cliff also looked identical to the one in her dream. The maid beside her explained, "There's a legend about this cliff. It said that mysterious species live there, rarely visited by humans." Elsa was puzzled. Mysterious species? She couldn't help but think of the blond young man from her dream. The maid replied, "Yes, that's why humans don't enter this area. It's a form of respect for them. Princess, if you've seen enough, shall we head back?" However, Elsa was still lost in her thoughts. The next second, Elsa clenched her fists, desperately wanting to climb up and take a look. "I dare say, if I reach the top of the cliff, I'll meet the young man from my dream." But because the cliff was too dangerous, this idea was quickly dismissed by the maid. Elsa could only ask Lure to investigate after returning. She was the revered imperial princess. As soon as she got off the carriage, she was suspected of being an imposter, because a fake princess had already arrived at the venue early and demonstrated her magic to everyone. Princess Elsa was startled upon hearing this news. Could it be Mariana impersonating her? The next second, Elsa was called out by a girl beside her. "Are you Princess Elsa of the Emil Empire?" Elsa immediately told her with great certainty, "I am the princess of the Emil Empire." Hearing that this was the real princess, Miss Rose, without hesitation, lifted her skirt and knelt before Elsa. "I pay my respects to the Empire's one and only princess. I am Rose, the young lady of the Blair family. She is Chloe, the young lady of Duke Diamond." Elsa also greeted them politely. "By the way, I'd like to ask you something. I heard that a spirit mage impersonating me appeared at the Blair family's ball. Is this true?" The young lady of the Blair family stammered, hesitant to reveal the reason. Seeing the situation, Chloe, who was standing nearby, was the first to answer Elsa. "Yes, Your Highness. The person impersonating you is inside the ballroom." Before Chloe could explain who the imposter was, Miss Rose interrupted. "But it's all fine now because the real princess has arrived." Elsa frowned. The real Miss Rose was startled by Princess Elsa's expression. Elsa sensed that she had something difficult to say, so she didn't press further. She decided to go in and see for herself. As soon as Elsa entered the ballroom, the lavish decorations caught her eye, as expected of the Blair family, who controlled the southern region. But thinking carefully, what did Miss Rose mean by real princess? In this empire, It was most likely Mariana who would use her status as the Empire's only spirit mage to impersonate her. But since the fake princess had already demonstrated her ability to summon spirits earlier, everyone in the ballroom believed it to be true. If Elsa were to rush in now, claiming to be the real princess, it would surely ruin the atmosphere of the event. It would also tarnish the reputation of the host, the Blair family. It was better not to do something so counterproductive. So, Elsa decided to ask the two young ladies to keep her identity hidden. For now, please call me Aine. The two young ladies were extremely flustered. How could we dare? After Elsa's insistence, they agreed. For Elsa, since no one had seen her before, she could use this to her advantage to determine if it was Mariana down there. The two Marquis daughters nervously followed Elsa towards the door. As soon as the door opened, she would know if the person impersonating her was Mariana. But when Elsa looked closely, the person wasn't Mariana at all. After Elsa's initial shock, Miss Rose finally revealed the truth. She explained to Elsa, "The one demonstrating magic right now is called Ashley, the second daughter of Marquis Roland. When you publicly announced that you were a spirit mage, noble young ladies began holding spirit art gatherings to determine if they possess spirit power. Not long ago, the three of us attended a spirit art gathering. The magic teacher there said Ashley had great potential. Originally, no one could successfully summon a spirit, but for some reason, she suddenly succeeded today." After hearing Rose's explanation, Elsa was both shocked and surprised. She was also quite troubled. Since she obtained the title of Holy Maiden, the public's interest in spirits had risen dramatically. She hadn't expected nobles to hire magicians to hold such gatherings. But thinking that this person wasn't Mariana and could summon spirits, she was indeed a spirit mage. But why would she risk the punishment of 9 generations to impersonate the princess? According to Rose, she must have developed affinity and magical power in a short time, and that was the low-level water spirit Nanus. Theoretically, it should have been impossible to summon. Elsa became suspicious of this person. She felt that things weren't as simple as they seemed. So she asked the two young ladies beside her, "Has Ashley been acting strangely recently?" The two firmly told Elsa, "Ashley hasn't done anything suspicious. We're all good friends. If something was wrong, we would surely have noticed." When Elsa heard them say they were good friends with Ashley, she realized why Rose had been hesitant to answer earlier. It was because she was worried about her friend being punished for claiming to be royalty. That inexplicable magical power still made Elsa feel uneasy. With no other choice, Elsa quietly summoned Lure. "Lure, look over there. That's the spirit mage everyone's talking about." And she even summoned Nanus. "I feel something's off about it." Lure immediately flew up and carefully examined the spirit mage. Indeed, there's something suspicious. She's using a magic bracelet. A magic bracelet is an item that can temporarily store and enhance magical power. It's easily influenced by the user's negative emotions. To use it, one must stake their life as collateral. The slightest mistake could be fatal, and it might cause the user to lose control. That's why it's a forbidden magical item in the Empire. Elsa wondered how she had obtained such a magic bracelet. She quickly looked around for any suspicious individuals. At that moment, Elsa spotted a blonde young man. "He looks just like the person from my dream," she thought. In the next instant, the blonde young man vanished from Elsa's sight. Ashley was now chatting casually with the crowd. "Spirits need rest too. I'm going to rest with the spirit now." Elsa realized she had to follow and see what was happening. As Ashley was going upstairs, Elsa noticed that the magic bracelet in her hand was emitting wisps of black smoke. This looked highly unusual. But just as Elsa was about to follow, Rose called out to her, "Why did you suddenly leave? Are you feeling unwell?" Elsa didn't tell them about the magic bracelet. Rose's parents suddenly appeared. They asked Rose, "Why does everyone think that the young lady of the Roland family is the princess?" Rose didn't know how to explain. Elsa greeted Rose's parents with a curtsy. Chloe quickly informed Rose's parents that she was the princess of the Emile Empire. Rose's parents were startled. They hurriedly bowed to Elsa. Then Elsa asked them where the nearest resting room was. Meanwhile, Ashley was also facing a predicament. She must have realized that this was the real Princess Elsa. If it weren't for the spirit aura, she might never have discovered that this was the real princess. Moreover, that aura was very similar to when she summoned Nanus. Or rather, her aura was even stronger. Ashley didn't know what to do. If Her Highness were to punish her, her mother would surely. The water spirit, noticing Ashley's emotional change, comforted her. Master, please take off the magic bracelet quickly. Otherwise, it will be dangerous. But Ashley smiled and said it was fine. Besides, if I take off the bracelet, you'll disappear soon. After all, I don't have much magical power. Let's spend a little more time together. To gain her mother's approval, she decided to risk her life by impersonating the Empire's princess. She enjoyed being treated like a princess, the center of attention. This was also the first time the girl had used summoning magic in front of others. She spared no effort to demonstrate it repeatedly to everyone. But the arrival of the real princess terrified her. So she made an excuse and hid away. Little did she know that the real princess was worried about her using the magic bracelet. The ballroom was simply too large. Even though Princess Elsa had instructed several of her subordinates, they couldn't find her. Fortunately, Chloe remembered a place at the crucial moment. She told Princess Elsa that it was a rarely visited place, and Ashley was very likely to have gone there. The impending meltdown of the magic bracelet greatly worried Elsa. Just as the three were about to set out, that blonde young man suddenly appeared, blocking their way. I know you're looking for that white-haired girl. Elsa asked him in a surprised tone. Have you seen her? The young man replied coldly. Elsa, that girl has exhausted her power to summon spirits. She might be in a very bad state now. This made Elsa suspicious. Why would this person stand by and do nothing when he knew the magic bracelet was about to go out of control? This prompted Elsa to question the blonde young man. Was it you who gave that to Ashley? The blonde young man sneered. Do you think I would have something as dangerous as a magic bracelet? Elsa had never mentioned the magic bracelet. Who exactly are you? I thought you were suspicious when we were in the ballroom. Everyone was curious about the spirit, but you remained indifferent. It's as if you've seen spirits before. I don't know a lot about spirits. The young man's answer surprised Elsa again. Perhaps this person wasn't ordinary, like the one in her dream. He gave off a mysterious aura. Elsa demanded loudly, if you know so much about spirits, then why didn't you stop Ashley when she was using the magic bracelet? Why should I intervene? Using the magic bracelet and summoning spirits was her own choice. Elsa was about to respond, but she was interrupted by a powerful aura from outside. Elsa understood. Ashley could only summon low-level spirits by using the magic bracelet. This indicated that her magical power was very low. Her physical condition must be terrible. But what was that powerful aura coming from outside? Had the magic bracelet gone out of control? The mysterious man gestured for Ashley to kill Princess Elsa, to become the real princess. Ashley explained that they had all misunderstood. She admitted that she could have explained to them that she wasn't the princess. Ashley deeply regretted her actions. It was the first time so many people had cheered for her, and she had been momentarily bewitched, failing to clarify the truth. Ashley shed tears of remorse. In the end, she was neither a true spirit mage nor a real princess. The mysterious man frowned. With a sinister expression, he told Ashley, why don't you just become the real thing? Ashley was stunned. You don't mean for me to impersonate a real spirit mage, do you? But thinking about herself, she decided against it. Even if I did, nothing would change. What's fake is fake. It will never become real. Unexpectedly, Ashley's words enraged the mysterious man. A sharp, shut up, left Ashley dumbfounded. I thought you would have made some progress, but I didn't expect you to be like this. I shouldn't have had any expectations for you. The mysterious man pointed at the magic bracelet on Ashley's wrist. Since you've made your decision, give the magic bracelet back to me. Ashley hesitated, covering the magic bracelet. She couldn't bear to let the water spirit leave her. The mysterious man laughed mockingly. It's unbelievable. In such a short time, you've actually developed feelings for the spirit. The next moment, the mysterious man moved to kill Ashley himself. Coveting things you're not capable of obtaining comes at a price. As he activated his magic staff, a black-purple attack flew towards Ashley. Ashley helplessly gave up resisting, preparing herself to be killed. At the critical moment, Elsa came to the rescue just in time. She activated her spirit power to block the attack. Nice to see you, Ashley. At this moment, Ashley was overwhelmed with emotion. Even though she had committed a grave offense by impersonating the princess, Princess Elsa didn't hold it against her. Instead, she had saved her. Yet her own mother had treated her so differently. Ashley had happily told her mother that she could summon a low-level water spirit. She had expected praise from her mother. Instead, she was met with a slap and angry scolding. Why would everyone think you were the princess? Not only do you fail to bring glory to the Roland family, but you also cause such trouble. The water spirit had witnessed it all, trembling in fear behind Ashley. Ashley quickly apologized to her mother for her mistake, but her self-interested mother didn't stop berating her. Since you successfully summoned a spirit, you should have used your status as a spirit mage to build a good relationship with the princess. Elsa summoned the ultimate spirit, Limii. She used it to shield Ashley from the mysterious man's attack. Seeing that his opponent was also a spirit mage, the mysterious man realized he couldn't harm them. So he decided to shift his attack target to the noble young lady nearby. Elsa hurriedly called out for them not to come closer. But her warning came too late. The mysterious man activated his magic staff once again. However, to his surprise, the blonde young man was already a spirit mage. Realizing the situation had turned unfavorable, the mysterious man fled on foot. Rose stepped forward to comfort Ashley, asking her why she continued to use the magic bracelet despite knowing its dangers. What if you had really gotten hurt? All for the sake of a mere spirit. Before Rose could finish speaking, Ashley interrupted her angrily. Don't criticize me if you don't understand. You have no idea about my situation. You can easily obtain your family's love. But what about me? Ashley explained tearfully. Do you know how hard I've tried to gain my family's approval? Hearing this, Elsa felt empathy. In her previous life, she had been just like Ashley. She had also tried desperately to earn her mother's love. But even when she made the tiniest mistake, her mother would criticize her harshly. Elsa gestured for Ashley to remove the bracelet for treatment, but Ashley refused and even criticized Elsa. You already possess great power. You can't understand my predicament. Someone like me, who would do anything to obtain a spirit. Ashley suddenly stopped speaking. A pained expression crossed her face. Then she turned and ran into the forest. Elsa immediately chased after her. At this moment, the blonde young man stopped Elsa. She was the revered imperial princess. As soon as she stepped out of the carriage, she was suspected of being an imposter, because a fake princess had already arrived at the venue and demonstrated her magic to everyone. Princess Elsa was shocked to hear this news. Could it be Mariana impersonating her? The next second, Elsa was called out by the girl beside her. Are you Princess Elsa of the Emil Empire? Elsa immediately told her with great certainty. I'm the princess of the Emil Empire. Hearing that she was the real princess, Miss Rose, without hesitation, lifted her skirt and knelt before Elsa. I pay my respects to the Empire's one and only princess. I am Rose, the young lady of the Blair family. This is Chloe, the young lady of Duke Diamond. Elsa also greeted them politely. By the way, I'd like to ask you something. I heard that a spirit mage impersonating me appeared at the Blair family's ball. Is this true? The young lady of the Blair family stammered, hesitant to reveal the reason. Seeing this, Chloe beside her took the initiative to answer Elsa. Yes, Your Highness. The person impersonating you is inside the ballroom. Before Chloe could explain who the imposter was, Miss Rose interrupted. But it's all right now because the real princess has arrived. Elsa frowned. The real Miss Rose was startled by Princess Elsa's expression. Elsa also noticed that she had something difficult to say, so she didn't press further. She decided to go in and see for herself. As Elsa walked through the grand doors of the venue, the lavish decorations caught her eye, as expected of the great Blair family that governs the southern region. But upon careful consideration, she wondered what Miss Rose meant by the real princess. In this empire, it was most likely that Mariana would use her status as the empire's only spirit mage to impersonate her. However, since the fake princess had already demonstrated her ability to summon spirits earlier, it led everyone in the venue to believe she was real. If Elsa were to burst in now, claiming to be the real princess, it would surely ruin the atmosphere of the event. It would also tarnish the reputation of the host, the Blair family. It was better not to do such a thankless task. So, Elsa decided to ask the two young ladies to keep her identity hidden. For now, please call me Nye. The two young ladies were extremely panicked. How could we dare? After Elsa's insistence, they agreed. For Elsa, since no one had seen her before, she could use this to her advantage to confirm if it was Mariana or not. The two Marquis daughters nervously followed Elsa towards the door. As soon as the door opened, she would know if the person impersonating her was Mariana. But when Elsa looked closely, the person turned out not to be Mariana. After Elsa's initial shock, Miss Rose finally revealed the truth. She explained to Elsa, the one demonstrating magic is called Ashley, the second daughter of Marquis Roland. When you publicly announced that you were a spirit mage, noble young ladies began frequently holding spirit magic gatherings to determine if they possess spirit powers. Not long ago, the three of us attended a spirit magic gathering. The magic teacher at the time said Ashley had great potential. Originally, no one could successfully summon a spirit, but for some reason, she suddenly succeeded today. After hearing Rose's explanation, Elsa was also extremely shocked and surprised. At the same time, she was quite troubled. Since she obtained the title of saint, the public's interest in spirits had risen dramatically. She hadn't expected the nobility to hire magicians and hold such gatherings. But thinking about it, this person wasn't Mariana, but could summon spirits, indeed a spirit mage. But why would she risk the punishment of 9 generations to impersonate the princess? According to Rose, she must have developed affinity and magical power in a short time. And that was the low-level water spirit Nanus. Theoretically, it should have been impossible to summon. Elsa grew suspicious of this person. She felt that there was more to this situation than met the eye. So she asked the two young ladies beside her if Ashley had exhibited any strange behavior recently. The two firmly assured Elsa that Ashley hadn't done anything suspicious. "We're all good friends," they said. "If something were amiss, we would surely have noticed." When Elsa heard them say they were good friends with Ashley, she realized why Rose had been so hesitant to answer earlier. It was because she was worried her friend might be punished for impersonating royalty. That inexplicable magical aura still bothered Elsa. Left with no choice, Elsa quietly summoned Limii. "Limii, look over there. That's the spirit mage everyone's talking about. And she's even summoned Nanus. I can't shake this feeling that something's off." Limii immediately flew up high, carefully examining the spirit mage. There's indeed something amiss. She's using a magic bracelet. A magic bracelet is an item that can temporarily store and enhance magical power. It's easily influenced by the user's negative emotions. To use it, one must stake their life as collateral. The slightest mistake could be fatal, and it might cause the user to lose control. That's why it's a forbidden magical item in the Empire. But how did she obtain such a magic bracelet? Elsa quickly scanned the room, looking for any suspicious individuals. In that instant, Elsa spotted a blonde young man. He looks just like the person from my dream. But in the next moment, the blonde young man vanished from Elsa's sight. Ashley was now chatting casually with guests. Spirits need rest too. I'm going to take a break with the spirit now. Elsa realized she had to follow and investigate. As Ashley was going upstairs, Elsa noticed that the magic bracelet on her hand was emitting waves of dark energy. This was clearly not normal. But just as Elsa was about to follow, Rose called out to her, "Why did you suddenly leave? Are you feeling unwell?" Elsa didn't tell them about the magic bracelet. Rose's parents suddenly appeared. They asked Rose why everyone thought the young lady of the Roland family was the princess. Rose didn't know how to explain. Elsa greeted Rose's parents with a curtsy. Chloe quickly informed Rose's parents that she was indeed the princess of the Emile Empire. Rose's parents were startled. They hurriedly bowed to Elsa. Elsa then asked them where the nearest resting room was. Meanwhile, Ashley was facing her own predicament. She realized that this must be the real Princess Elsa. If it weren't for the spirit's aura, she might never have realized. She was the princess, and that aura was very similar to when she summoned Nanus. No, it should be said that her aura was even stronger. Ashley didn't know what to do. If her highness were to punish her, her mother would surely. The water spirit, noticing Ashley's changing emotions, comforted her. "Master, please take off the magic bracelet quickly. Otherwise, it will be dangerous." But Ashley just smiled and said it was fine. "Besides, if I take off the bracelet, you'll disappear soon. After all, I don't have much magical power. Let's spend a little more time together." To gain her mother's approval, she had decided to risk her life by impersonating the imperial princess. Enjoying the treatment of being the center of attention like a princess, this was also the first time the girl had used summoning magic in front of others. She had spared no effort to demonstrate it again and again to everyone. But the arrival of the real princess terrified her. so she made an excuse and hid away. Little did she know, the real princess was worried about her using the magic bracelet. The ballroom was simply too large. Even with Princess Elsa ordering several of her subordinates, they couldn't find her. Fortunately, Chloe remembered a place at the crucial moment. She told Princess Elsa about a rarely visited spot where Ashley was likely to have gone. The impending meltdown of the magic bracelet worried Elsa greatly. Just as the three were about to set off, that blonde young man suddenly appeared, blocking their way. "I know you're looking for that white-haired girl," Elsa asked him in a surprised tone. "Have you seen her?" The young man answered Elsa coldly. "That girl used all her strength to summon the spirit. She might be in a very bad state now." This made Elsa suspicious. If this person knew the magic bracelet was about to go out of control, why was he standing idly by? This prompted Elsa to question the blonde young man. "Was it you who gave that to Ashley?" The blonde young man sneered. "Do you think I would have something as dangerous as a magic bracelet?" Elsa had never mentioned the magic bracelet. "Who exactly are you? I thought you were suspicious when we were in the ballroom. Everyone was curious about the spirit, but you remained indifferent, as if you had seen spirits before." "I didn't know a lot about spirits." The young man's answer surprised Elsa again. Perhaps this person wasn't ordinary, like the one in her dream. He gave off a mysterious aura. Elsa questioned him loudly. "If you know so much about spirits, then why didn't you stop Ashley when she was using the magic bracelet? Why should I intervene?" Her using the magic bracelet to summon spirits was her own choice. But just as Elsa was about to respond, she was interrupted by a powerful aura from outside. Elsa understood. Ashley could only summon low-level spirits by using the magic bracelet. This meant her magical power was very low, and her physical condition must be terrible. But what was this powerful aura from outside? Had the magic bracelet gone out of control? The mysterious man gestured for Ashley to kill Princess Elsa, to become the real princess herself. Ashley explained that they had all misunderstood and admitted that she could have easily explained to them that she wasn't the princess. Ashley deeply regretted her actions. It was the first time so many people had cheered for her, and she had been momentarily bewitched, failing to clarify the truth. "Dear audience, our votes will be reset tonight. Please, I beg you to vote for me." Ashley shed tears of remorse. In the end, she was neither a true spirit mage nor a real princess. The mysterious man frowned. With a sinister expression, he told Ashley, "Why don't you just become the real thing?" Ashley was stunned. "You don't mean for me to impersonate a real spirit mage, do you?" But thinking about herself, she decided against it. "Even if I did, nothing would change. What's fake is fake and will never become real." Unexpectedly, Ashley's words enraged the mysterious man. A sharp "shut up" left Ashley dumbfounded. "I thought you might have improved, but I never expected you to be like this. I shouldn't have had any expectations for you." The mysterious man pointed at the magic bracelet on Ashley's wrist. "Since you've made your decision, give the magic bracelet back to me." Ashley hesitated, covering the magic bracelet. She couldn't bear to let the water spirit leave her. The mysterious man laughed mockingly. "It's unbelievable. In such a short time, you've actually developed feelings for the spirit." The next moment, the mysterious man moved to kill Ashley himself. Coveting things you're not capable of obtaining comes at a price. As he activated his magic staff, a dark purple attack flew towards Ashley. Ashley helplessly gave up resisting, preparing to be killed. At the critical moment, Elsa came to the rescue. She used her spirit power to block the attack. "Glad to see you." At that moment, Ashley was deeply moved, even though she had committed a grave offense by impersonating the princess. Princess Elsa didn't hold it against her and even save her life. While her own mother had treated her so differently, Ashley had happily told her mother that she could summon a low-level water spirit. She had expected praise from her mother. Instead, she was met with a slap and an angry rebuke. "Why would everyone think you're the princess? Not only do you fail to bring glory to the Roland family, but you cause such trouble." The water spirit had witnessed it all, trembling in fear behind Ashley. Ashley quickly apologized to her mother for her mistake, but her self-interested mother didn't stop berating her. "Since you successfully summoned a spirit, you should have used your status as a spirit mage to build a good relationship with the princess." Elsa summoned the ultimate spirit, Limii, to protect Ashley from mysterious man's attack. Seeing that his opponent was also a spirit mage, the mysterious man realized he couldn't harm them, so he decided to switch his attack target to the noble ladies nearby. Elsa hurriedly told them not to come closer, but her warning came too late. The mysterious man activated his magic staff again. Unexpectedly, the blond young man turned out to be a spirit mage as well. Realizing the situation had turned unfavorable, the mysterious man fled. Rose stepped forward to comfort Ashley, asking, "Why did you use the magic bracelet knowing it was dangerous? What if you had been seriously injured? All for the sake of a mere spirit." Before Rose could finish, Ashley interrupted angrily. "Don't judge me if you don't understand. You have no idea what I'm going through. You can easily receive love from your family. But what about me?" Ashley explained tearfully. "Do you know how hard I've tried to gain my family's approval?" Hearing this, Elsa felt empathy. In her previous life, she had been just like Ashley, desperately trying to earn her mother's love. But even when she made the tiniest mistake, her mother would criticize her harshly. Elsa gestured for Ashley to remove the bracelet for treatment, but Ashley refused. Ashley even criticized Elsa, saying, "You already have such powerful abilities. You can't understand my struggles. Someone like me, who would do anything to obtain a spirit." Ashley suddenly stopped speaking. A pained expression crossed her face. Then she turned and ran into the forest. Elsa immediately chased after her. But the blond young man stopped Elsa. He said that Elsa's rebirth was granted by the Spirit King, but the Spirit King didn't know Elsa's true character. He wasn't sure if allowing her rebirth was the right choice. Perhaps the Spirit King needed an answer. The Spirit King blocked Elsa as she was about to chase Ashley. He asked, "Why do you interfere in others' affairs? This was all Ashley's own choice. You save her, yet she treated you disrespectfully. Is it really necessary to go after her? What will you gain from this?" Faced with the blond young man's questions, Elsa responded with a soul-searching question. "Does one always need a reason?" Elsa quickly provided an answer. "Some people need help, and she happens to have the ability to help them. Isn't that enough? So, everyone, please vote for me. Only the first place gets a chance to enter. We're still short by over 10,000 votes. Please, I'm begging you." Hearing Elsa's response, the Spirit King felt both surprised and delighted. Elsa turned around. She asked in return, "Just now you also used magic to protect Rose and Chloe. According to what you said, their lives had nothing to do with you. So why did you step in to save them?" The blond young man was left speechless by her question. "It's because you had the ability to help them, isn't it? I'm the same. This is my own choice. There's no grand reason behind it, because I don't intend to become some extraordinary saint." After saying this, Elsa turned her head towards the direction Ashley had left. Thinking about how vast this place was, she wondered where she should go to find Ashley. Or should she go back first? Just as Elsa was deeply conflicted, the blond young man spoke again. Elsa was about to be annoyed to death by him, but unexpectedly, a dazzling light appeared before her eyes. A giant golden eagle flew overhead. It turned out to be a spirit summoned by the blond young man. "I'll lend it to you. You can ride it to search for her." Elsa quickly thanked him. She then mounted the golden eagle and flew into the sky to look for Ashley. While searching, Elsa couldn't help but recall what she had just said to the blond young man. Her answer sounded as if helping others didn't require a reason, but her help for Ashley was entirely out of self-interest. When she was still the princess of Eatonbell, no one was willing to help her. Back then, she had wished so much for someone to listen to her. But thanks to her current family, she was able to overcome the pain of the past. I know how Ashley felt then, so even if I can't be of much help, it's okay. I just want to listen to Ashley's story and help her as much as possible, just like my family did for me. After all, I really want to reach out to her. Meanwhile, Ashley had run outside the venue. She thought about how she not only impersonated the princess, but also yelled at the real princess. She must be facing severe punishment. Will my mother abandon me because of this? After all, in her eyes, I'm just a useless person who always causes trouble. Ashley fell to her knees, crying out to the sky. Am I really not worthy of being loved? This series of actions caught the attention of the crowd. Isn't that Her Highness the Princess? Why does she have so many injuries? Quick, call the servants. Another noble stopped them, saying, What are you talking about? How could she be the princess? She's clearly the young lady of the Roland family. Hearing the crowd's discussions, Ashley trembled. Now was the best time to explain. She couldn't make another mistake. But Ashley couldn't suppress the fear in her heart. I'm so scared. Someone please help me. Ashley helplessly closed her eyes. Suddenly, a voice called out to her from behind. Ashley looked up. Princess Elsa's appearance was like that of a guardian of dawn. Everything would be all right now. I'm here to help you. Elsa transformed into a guardian of dawn, rescuing the lost Ashley. Thanks to the Spirit King's assistance, Elsa was able to quickly find Ashley. The nobles speculated whether the bird beside Elsa was a spirit. When they saw the golden eagle disappear in an instant, they finally realized, could this young lady be the Empire's only princess? Seeing that Princess Elsa didn't deny the noble speculation, they bowed to Elsa, feeling honored. Now that the real princess had appeared, what was the deal with her? The nobles turned their attention to Ashley. Just as Ashley thought she would face criticism from the nobles, Elsa, thinking quickly, came up with a perfect solution. Smiling, she walked over to help Ashley up, saying, I sense that the magic I bestowed upon you is very unstable, so I came to check on you. You've been working too hard, Miss Ashley. Even on a day like this, you hid away in the forest, practicing magic alone. But you still need to balance work and rest, you know. Hearing Elsa's words, the nobles began to discuss among themselves again. So, was magic bestowed by Her Highness? Elsa quickly nodded. I heard that spirit gatherings are very popular among noble young ladies. As it happens, I discovered this young lady had extraordinary potential. To increase the number of spirit mages in the Empire, I bestowed magic upon Ashley. Elsa summoned the ultimate spirit while continuing to explain. It seems my tardiness caused this misunderstanding among everyone. Isn't that right, Miss Ashley? Ashley saw that the princess didn't blame her, but actively cleared things up for her and was even willing to use magic to heal her. Ashley finally realized her mistake and sincerely apologized to Elsa. Elsa chose to forgive and understand. Ashley, I know you're in pain. You must not want to part with the spirit, right? It's not just a way for you to gain recognition from others, but also your precious friend. So, next time, can you summon him with your own power? Summon that spirit that belongs to you alone. Encouraged by Elsa, Ashley made a promise with the water spirit. She would work hard to summon it back with her own power. By then, I'll not only be stronger, but my mind will be more mature as well. Nanas, can you give me a little more time? Of course, I'll always be with you. Ashley reluctantly bid farewell to the spirit. Although our time together was brief, I'm truly grateful. Ashley removed the magic bracelet, and the water spirit disappeared before her eyes. Just then, Rose and Chloe rushed over. Thankfully, Ashley still had friends by her side. The incident of impersonating the princess finally came to an end. Elsa sighed to Lul, reflecting on how much had happened today. Why do bad people always try to exploit others and do terrible things when they're desperate? If only there was nothing but light in this world. Just then, the magic bracelet on the table suddenly emitted a dark mist. Shouldn't this aura have disappeared when Ashley took it off? Suddenly, a voice came from behind. That's because it's filled with his negative energy. Elsa was startled by the sudden appearance of the blonde young man. She quickly stood up and took a few steps back. It was then that Elsa realized the man before her wasn't surprised to see the spirit. Instead, he seemed quite accustomed to it. Moreover, he could even summon high-level spirits like Jiao. Most importantly, the light aura around him was incredibly powerful. She was certain now he was the light spirit king, luminous. To her great surprise, the spirit king was no longer concealing his aura. He appeared before Elsa. This truly shocked both Elsa and Lul. They immediately curtsied to the spirit king. Lul even flew to the spirit king's face, seeking a hug. My king, I missed you so much. Looking at the spirit king before her, Elsa thought he was even younger than she had imagined, and his light aura was so powerful. How had she not recognized him before? Fearing the spirit king might reproach her, Elsa quickly apologized for her rudeness. She explained that she was too preoccupied with worrying about Ashley, so she unintentionally offended him. The spirit king shrugged. He had deliberately concealed his aura, and with his current appearance, it was hard to recognize him. Then the Spirit King inquired about Elsa. By the way, are you feeling better? Elsa was bewildered, not understanding why the Spirit King would ask her this. The Spirit King took a step closer to Elsa. He reached out and touched Elsa's cheek, saying, Didn't you expend a lot of energy to heal Ashley? Your aura seems a bit unstable now. Looking at the handsome Spirit King, Elsa felt a bit shy. She nervously stepped back a few paces. I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. But what did you mean when you said the magic bracelet is filled with Ashley's negative energy? The Spirit King furrowed his brow and explained, Those magicians don't just enhance the wearer's abilities. They're more interested in collecting the wearer's negative emotions. The spirits are just a front to achieve their goals. After hearing the Spirit King's explanation, Elsa exclaimed that it was too much. How could they use spirits for such purposes? Elsa clenched her fists in anger. At this moment, the Spirit King tentatively asked Elsa, "Have you always been interested in spirits?" Elsa didn't understand the Spirit King's meaning. "When you helped that girl, you seemed very concerned about her spirit." Elsa hurriedly explained that she had been with spirits since birth. Whether she was happy or sad, spirits had always been by her side. So she worried that Ashley's negative emotions might affect the spirit. After all, spirits had always been precious friends to her. The Spirit King was surprised by Elsa's explanation. After all, the relationship between summoners and spirits was usually that of master and servant, yet she considered spirits her friends. Elsa was curious about the Spirit King's purpose for coming to the human world. "Did you come here specifically for Ashley?" The Spirit King didn't deny it. "You could say that. I discovered someone was trying to use spirits for evil purposes. But I also came here to see you." "To see me?" Elsa's eyes widened in surprise. "You're very special. You stand up for others and cherish spirits. Ordinary people wouldn't worry about spirits. So I find you interesting. It seems my trip today wasn't in vain." To see her, the Spirit King no longer concealed his noble identity. He boldly presented a flower to Elsa, confessing his feelings. This was also the first time Elsa had received flowers from a boy. "Actually, I've done some things wrong too. I don't know you well enough yet." Elsa shyly accepted the small flower. "Thank you," she said, thinking to herself. "Isn't this the flower I wanted most? The one that blooms on the cliff?" It all felt like a dream. To meet this handsome Spirit King by such a coincidence. Perhaps just this one meeting had used up all her luck as a spirit mage. Elsa reluctantly asked the Spirit King, "Are you leaving now? Will we be able to meet again?" The Spirit King nodded. "We might have a chance to meet again." Elsa bid farewell to the Spirit King, feeling content. In the blink of an eye, Elsa had already been here for 3 days. She was due to return to the palace tomorrow. She had hoped to make some friends here, but so many things had happened that she hadn't made a single friend. Just as Elsa was lamenting this, her maid informed her that Rosk, Roy, and Ashley had submitted a request to see her. Elsa felt regretful. She was leaving tomorrow, so it would have to wait until next time. At this moment, Lul stopped Elsa. "Master, you can't just leave like this." She persistently pushed Elsa to go meet them quickly. The three had already been waiting for a while. "We've submitted our request. We'll come to see you again once the time is set." Elsa smiled awkwardly. "But I'm returning to the palace tomorrow." Hearing Elsa's words, the three looked at each other. "In that case, we were just about to go explore the city. Would you like to join us?" Elsa agreed without hesitation. She was the Empire's only princess, possessing unparalleled magic, so she was quite knowledgeable about spirit magic. As her friends all wanted to learn more about spirit magic, Elsa naturally became their teacher. Rosk, Roy, and Ashley took Elsa to their secret base, which they had used since childhood. Though it looked dilapidated on the outside, the interior was carefully decorated by the three of them, carrying countless memories. Elsa hadn't expected them to invite her to such a meaningful place. She felt incredibly happy inside. Elsa didn't forget about her spirits either. Elsa asked Rosk and the others if they could summon Lul themselves. Rosk's eyes were full of anticipation. As the summoning ended, Lul gracefully curtsied to everyone. "Thank you all for allowing me to come out." Seeing the adorable Lul, the eyes of all three sparkled. At this moment, Ashley suddenly felt a bit guilty. She apologized to Elsa again. "I'm truly sorry for what happened at the ball yesterday." Ashley clasped her own hands and continued to explain her reasons. "I did wrong things to gain my mother's love, and I couldn't control my emotions, speaking so rudely and offending you. But even so, you chose to forgive me and pull me out of the darkness. I don't know how to repay you." Elsa thought to herself, she's just a 13-year-old girl. It's inevitable to make mistakes. Elsa reached out to comfort Ashley. "It's okay. You've already apologized. When you try so hard but can't get recognition, when you're all alone, anyone would feel pain, so I can understand your choice. And the responsibility isn't all yours. After all, the magic bracelet amplifies your negative emotions. So I hope you can keep your promise to the water spirit and not be tempted in the future. Live with your own strength and will, and the water spirit will always be by its master's side." Ashley asked in surprise, "Really? The underwear is here?" "That's right." Lul was the first to answer. Hearing this news, Ashley couldn't help but shed tears. It's been a joyful day together. It was time for Elsa to say goodbye. "Thank you for taking me to so many places. Next time, I'll host you at the palace. You must come, okay?" Rosk happily replied, "We'll definitely come. After all, We're friends, right? Friends. Elsa was stunned by this word. She couldn't help but chuckle. That's right, we're friends. After all, they had already placed their family crests in the secret base. The Spirit King actually wanted to be friends with Princess Elsa. Indeed, liking someone always starts with being friends. Originally, Elsa thought she had only made 3 friends at this ball, but unexpectedly, as she was leaving, she found the Spirit King sitting in her carriage. This startled Elsa so much her eyes nearly popped out. The unaware maid looked completely confused, peering around inside the carriage but seeing nothing. Apparently, only Elsa could see the Spirit King. Elsa immediately asked the Spirit King, "What's going on? How come you're sitting in my carriage?" The Spirit King answered calmly, "Didn't I say? I find you very interesting." After all, the Spirit King originally had no family or friends. But seeing you casually say that spirits are your friends, I suddenly wanted to befriend you too. Elsa was so scared she broke out in a cold sweat. "You want to be friends with me, so you're planning to come to the palace with me? It's you who's going to the palace. I have no choice but to follow. After all, we agreed to be friends, didn't we?" Elsa was startled again. She thought to herself that the Spirit King surely didn't understand the common sense of the human world. What should she do? She couldn't tell her family that he was Lord Luminous. If she brought a strange man back to the palace, her brother would surely fall ill from anger, and her father would definitely want to chop him up. No, this situation couldn't happen. Elsa tried to change the Spirit King's mind with words. Actually, friends don't need to be together all the time. After all, everyone has their private life. Private life? The Spirit King looked completely confused. He couldn't help but sigh that humans lived such complicated lives. By this time, Elsa was on the verge of tears. "Isn't it you who's too naive?" she thought. The Spirit King didn't know what to do either. "I want to stay with you. What should I do?" Suddenly, Elsa had an idea. "How about you come to visit me from time to time? After all, I am a princess. It's better if you have a clear identity." The Spirit King immediately nodded. It seemed this was the only way. Isis and the Spirit King were both jealous of Elsa. The situation was getting out of hand. Just as the capital's moving gate finished, Elsa learned that her brother had come to welcome her. This made Elsa so happy she was bubbling with joy. "Brother is always so busy. He must have specially made time to welcome me. I must go see him right away." The Spirit King beside her was a bit puzzled. "You seem very excited. Is he very important to you?" Elsa was stunned for a moment, but she quickly told the Spirit King, "Of course. My brother is irreplaceable in my heart." As soon as she finished speaking, Elsa jumped out of the carriage. She happily ran towards her brother. Isis hugged his sister tightly and asked, "It seems you've adapted well to life in the South. Your complexion is much better than before. It's a good place. If there's a chance, let's go together." After exchanging a few pleasantries, Isis suggested riding in the carriage together back to the palace. This scared Elsa so much she was trembling. Lord Luminous was still in the carriage. Could her brother see him? Before Elsa could respond, Isis pulled her along to sit in the carriage. But the unexpected happened. Isis looked inside the carriage and suddenly stopped. At that moment, Elsa also realized something was wrong. Her brother's eyes immediately became alert. "Elsa, who is this gentleman?" Elsa grew more and more nervous. Could her brother see the Spirit King too? How had he made the maids unable to see him earlier? Elsa pretended not to know. "What gentleman? Brother, what are you talking about?" Isis ignored her, staring straight at Luminous. "Never mind. Let this gentleman answer for himself." The deadly stare between the two intensified. Suddenly, Elsa reached out to block her brother. "Let me explain myself. This is Louis." Seeing his sister stammer, Isis grew suspicious. "His name is Mr. Lewin. Something happened on the way, so we ended up sharing a carriage. He's not a bad person. Don't worry." Elsa nervously made up. Hopefully, it won't be discovered. After all, she wasn't confident in explaining Luminous's desire to befriend humans. Isis's face suddenly darkened. He asked in a heavy tone, "Did you fall in love with him at first sight?" Elsa was dumbfounded. "Did you two meet fatefully at the party, then secretly pledge yourselves to each other? Are you riding back to the palace together for a proposal?" The situation was getting increasingly absurd. Isis's eyes were welling up with tears. Elsa was even more shocked. "Brother, what are you talking about?" Isis completely ignored Elsa's words. "If we don't agree, are you two planning to elope?" No, that won't do. You're too young to get married now." Luminous looked at the siblings and couldn't help but laugh. "I am Luminous." The two were stunned. Isis immediately became serious. "You say you're Luminous? Are you joking?" Luminous smiled slightly. "I am a follower of Luminous. Can you understand now?" So, you're saying you're a priest of light? Luminous casually replied, "You could say that, but judging by your appearance, you're not an ordinary priest, are you?" Elsa couldn't help but think to herself, "Of course not. He's the master of the temple." Isis asked Elsa how she met him. Elsa made up another casual reason. "He wanted to go to the holy temple, so I agreed to give him a ride. But he could have taken another carriage, couldn't he?" Elsa explained, "Well, he's my guest. Of course, I had to treat him with proper respect." Isis was still somewhat concerned. He asked Luminous directly, "Do you plan to keep sitting here?" Luminous retorted, "Why not? I'll arrange a carriage for you. You can sit there alone." "No need. I want to chat with the holy maiden." The tension between the two was escalating. Elsa, watching from the side, didn't know what to do. On one side was a priest who treated the crown prince casually. On the other was her brother, who treated the god of light casually. Elsa was on the verge of tears. "Lul, will we be able to reach the holy temple safely?" Lul, on the contrary, seemed quite happy. This seemed interesting to Elsa. After dropping the Spirit King off at the holy temple, Isis began to severely criticize Elsa. "Even if he's from the holy temple, it's dangerous to share a carriage with someone you've just met. As the Empire's only princess and the only spirit mage, there must be many people eyeing you covetously, especially men. You need to keep your distance from them." Elsa smiled politely. "Oh, brother, you're being silly." But Isis seriously told Elsa again, "I'm being serious. That priest we just met doesn't seem ordinary. Suddenly encountering someone like that on the road is highly suspicious." Elsa realized that her brother was genuinely concerned for her. "I'm sorry for worrying you, brother." When they returned to the palace, their father and mother were shocked by the sight before them. The gifts Elsa had brought for them could be piled into a small mountain. These gifts had cost Elsa all of her pocket money. Her brother was also amazed. "Elsa, isn't this too many gifts?" The emperor suddenly realized this teacup looked particularly familiar. It turned out Elsa had specially chosen it for her mother. There were also gifts specially selected for her brother and father. This delighted the whole family. They hadn't expected Elsa to think of them during her journey. Elsa mentioned that she had also made some friends. One was very cheerful, another was very considerate, and there was one who made her want to cheer him on. Elsa mused sincerely. Her mother felt proud that Elsa had made friends. Since they're your friends, they must all be good children. Moreover, we've already heard about what happened at the ball. The fact that you were able to resolve the issue satisfactorily shows that you've grown. You're friends with him now, aren't you? Elsa felt somewhat relieved. She expressed that she didn't know why she always wanted to help him. As a princess, she should have handled the matter according to royal law. Her father shook his head at Elsa. "You don't need to worry about these things. As a princess, your actions are the palace etiquette." Her brother also hurried to comfort her. "You're a smart and kind child. Since you consider him a friend, I'm willing to accept him as your friend too. The most important thing is that you don't get hurt." Her mother also approached Elsa to comfort her. Sometimes, those who understand gentleness and tolerance also know how to firmly overcome difficulties. Elsa, you've already grasped this principle. It seems this trip has been very beneficial for you. I'm really happy about that. Isis also added, "Elsa, congratulations on successfully completing your first journey." The midsummer feast of the Emil Empire was approaching. Elsa had invited the Spirit King and the Priests of Light. But before the feast even began, the Spirit King secretly came to visit Elsa. This startled Elsa. This is the third floor. But more than that, the Spirit King's sudden appearance could easily be mistaken for an assassin. Elsa quickly turned her gaze towards the maids. Fortunately, none of them had noticed. She then ordered the maids to leave for a while, saying she wanted to think alone. After all the maids had left, Elsa opened the window and asked Lord Luminous in surprise, "Why are you here? And you're wearing priest clothes. Are you going to be the next high priest?" Luminous just smiled without answering. Elsa suddenly realized she was being impolite. "I'm sorry, please come in. It's my fault I startled you." Then she inquired, "Has the news of me becoming the high priest spread already?" It turned out that when the Spirit King arrived at the Holy Temple, he had only slightly displayed his light power. Unexpectedly, the temple's disciples were overjoyed and kept begging the Spirit King to be their high priest. The Spirit King had no choice but to agree. Elsa had just seen the name Lewin on the list of priests. She hadn't expected it to really be the Spirit King. The Spirit King sat down and asked Elsa, "You said humans have private lives, so I want to know if visiting you once every few weeks would interfere with your life. Elsa suddenly realized. She thought to herself that her previous efforts hadn't been in vain. It seemed her persuasion had some effect after all. But to make him fully understand human private life, it would probably take some more time. She should be content with this for now. So she said, "This frequency of visiting me won't affect my life. By the way, that day in the carriage, my brother was extremely rude. I apologize on his behalf. But why did you materialize yourself?" The Spirit King looked at Elsa and said, "I was just curious. You said your brother is very important to you. I was curious about what kind of person this brother you cherish so much is." This made Elsa feel embarrassed. He always said he was curious about her, and now it extended to someone she cherished. Nearby, Lul woke up and yawned. Suddenly noticing the Spirit King's visit, it was startled and loudly exclaimed, "My king!" It fluttered to the Spirit King's face. "When did you arrive? How have you been lately? Why are you wearing priest clothes?" Lul's rapid-fire questions startled Elsa as well. The Spirit King grabbed Lul, smiling at Elsa. He teased, "I seem to see someone's likeness in Lul. Spirits really do resemble their masters, don't they?" Elsa hurriedly explained, "It was because you appeared so suddenly earlier that I reacted that way." Do you remember the first time Elsa dreamed of the Spirit King? Elsa was very curious. She had never met the Spirit King before, yet the person in her dream looked exactly like him. Elsa asked the Spirit King if he had created that dream, but the Spirit King denied it. Although he often went to Casca Canyon, this was the first time he'd heard of such a thing. Perhaps it was the interaction of our auras that caused you to have a prophetic dream. Elsa was very surprised. Can such things really happen? The Spirit King explained to Elsa by way of analogy, "You can see spirits with your naked eye. Isn't that amazing too?" The Spirit King suddenly furrowed his brow. "A long time ago, I heard a story." Elsa was very curious. "What story?" But the Spirit King seemed to deliberately keep Elsa in suspense. "I think I should go now." Elsa let out a displeased ah. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from the doorway. "Why are you all standing here?" It was her brother who had arrived. The Spirit King immediately stood up and asked, "Should I leave now?" Elsa was at a loss. The Spirit King was different from lower-level spirits. Without materializing, the Spirit King would emit a strong spirit aura. Therefore, her brother wouldn't be able to see the current Spirit King. But she didn't have the courage to face Lumina's and her brother at the same time. Elsa politely curtsied to the Spirit King. "I'm very sorry, but you might indeed need to leave now." The Spirit King turned to leave. Isis anxiously called out Elsa's name and pushed open the door. "Has something happened? Why do you want to be alone here?" Elsa quickly explained, "Nothing's wrong. I just wanted to think quietly about the banquet." Isis keenly noticed an extra teacup. "Did someone come here?" Elsa nervously explained, "I was just having tea with Lul earlier." "Right, Lul?" Lul hastily nodded its head frantically. Elsa was terrified of being exposed, breaking out in a cold sweat. Isis, hearing the explanation, finally felt relieved. "You scared me, so that's what it was. After all, you rarely spend time alone." But the one who was truly startled was Elsa. "Why did you come here?" Isis replied, "Isn't it almost time for our meal with our parents? I finished sword practice early today, so I thought I'd come and escort you there." Elsa was curious. They should be busy preparing for the midsummer feast, yet they're taking time to dine with us. Could there be something important? Just as Elsa had guessed, something unexpected was about to happen at the feast. But this surprise is something you'll definitely like. Elsa's eyes widened with curiosity. "Is it a surprise I'll enjoy?" Elsa's family had prepared a surprise for her, but her brother already knew what the surprise was and wouldn't tell Elsa. Elsa pouted, annoyed. "How stingy. Can't you just tell me?" Isis was stunned by Elsa's adorable expression. He quickly stepped back, waving his hands. "Even if you look at me like that, it won't work. I absolutely won't be swayed by your gaze." Then he patted Elsa's head, comforting her. "Anyway, you'll find out soon enough." Before dinner, their father told Elsa, "We plan to host a debutante ball for you at this feast." Elsa was shocked by her parents' words. "What? Let me participate in a debutante ball?" Even in her previous life, Elsa had never attended a debutante ball. Participating in a debutante ball was equivalent to formally entering society. Not only could one freely attend social events, but it also represented that the person was coming of age. Therefore, this This was a very important ceremony. Her mother, worried that Elsa might feel pressured, suggested that the debutante ball could be postponed. Elsa felt that holding a debutante ball at the midsummer feast was indeed unprecedented, and she did feel some pressure. However, this was a once-in-a-lifetime debutante ball, and she was truly happy. She had always been curious about when she would be able to attend a debutante ball. She never expected it to be at this feast. "I'm really looking forward to it." Hearing Elsa say this, her father felt relieved. He mentioned that at the debutante ball, the next candidate for high priest would offer her a blessing. Her mother explained, "That person has the potential to become the high priest. His blessing is no less effective than the current high priest's." Elsa was elated. The next high priest was none other than the Spirit King. For him to personally bestow a blessing on a spirit mage attending her debutante ball was truly an honor. Elsa's joyful expression stunned them all. The three of them then quietly discussed, maybe we should keep this debutante ball low-key. What if all the nobles in the empire fall for Elsa? What should we do then? Both parents agreed that their son had a point. Elsa shouted angrily, "You're not thinking of going back on your word, are you?" The three of them pretended not to hear. Since Elsa had agreed, there was a lot of preparation work to be done. Isis volunteered to help. "After all, I know Elsa best." Seeing the warm scene between the three, Elsa was touched. Lul, standing nearby, chimed in to steal the spotlight. "Master, I know you very well too." Elsa burst into laughter at Lul's antics. "Of course I know that, Lul. The matter of Ashley using the magic bracelet wasn't over. To find the mastermind behind it, Elsa handed the magic bracelet to Isis. She asked him to thoroughly investigate the matter, suggesting it might be related to Idenbell. Eventually, after Isis's careful investigation, it was confirmed that the magic bracelet indeed came from the Idenbell Empire. Even a teacher responsible for the spirit magic course was from Idenbell. However, there was no direct evidence proving that the mastermind was the Idenbell royal family. It was all just speculation. Isis told Elsa that perhaps Ashley could verify this guess. Elsa clenched her fists. After careful consideration, she decided to invite Ashley to this midsummer feast. Through Ashley, they should be able to confirm whether the person who gave the magic bracelet was from Idenbell. Besides, she had already planned to invite her friends to this feast. But Elsa was worried that this matter might implicate Ashley, so she asked her brother to keep it strictly confidential. Her brother understood Elsa's intentions. He didn't want this matter to become public, nor did he want Ashley to be punished. Moreover, this approach would allow Idenbell to lower their guard. After the previous poisoning incident, the peace treaty between the two countries had already become nominal. The Emil Empire hadn't abolished this treaty partly to protect its citizens and partly to wait for Idenbell to reveal their true intentions. Elsa understood that to accurately know what the other side was plotting, they had to act more cautiously. As her brother, Isis was very pleased that Elsa could think this way. "Sometimes you seem more mature than I am. When I realized this wasn't just my imagination, rather than being surprised at myself, I understood more. You're 14 now, even more mature than before. No matter what Idenbell is planning, I will protect you as you approach your 15th birthday. No, I will protect you for life. No matter what method I have to use, I will definitely guard you." Elsa was shocked by Isis's words. Her brother still cared for her so much. Elsa was in love. Elsa was truly in love. Since the Spirit King often secretly came to play with Elsa, whenever this happened, Elsa would ask the maid to leave, saying she wanted to be alone. Then she would chat and laugh with the Spirit King, resulting in feelings developing over time. Elsa always looked out the window expectantly, waiting for the Spirit King's arrival. Because of this, the maids who didn't know the reason spread a rumor. It must be that Princess Elsa had reached puberty. The discussion among the maids came to an abrupt end as Elsa, who wanted to be alone, suddenly appeared. They quickly pretended that nothing had happened. The unusual behavior made Elsa feel something was off. "What were you two just talking about?" The maid hurriedly made up an excuse. "Nothing. We were just discussing what dress you should wear to the ball." Upon reaching the study, the maid asked Elsa, "Would you like to be alone today as well?" The question was rather abrupt. Elsa felt a bit flustered. She couldn't be certain just yet. She thought to herself, after all, the Spirit King always visited suddenly. The maids had no idea about this. Generally, at your age, one needs time alone. We've all been through that special period, right? The head Maid nodded in agreement. Elsa listened with a bewildered expression. What are you talking about? What special period? Always wanting to be alone, restless, and lost in thought. These are signs of being in puberty. Elsa was utterly shocked. What on earth were they on about? She never imagined that her excuse to meet the Spirit King would lead to such a misunderstanding. Elsa hurriedly explained, "You seem to have misunderstood. This has nothing to do with puberty." But none of them seemed to believe Elsa's words. Just then, Elsa's entire family burst into the room. "Elsa, have you reached puberty?" Elsa quickly denied it. "No, this has nothing to do with puberty." Isis, on the verge of tears, said, "All right, I believe you," while her mother remarked, "Elsa has really grown up in the blink of an eye." But no matter how she looked at it, none of them seemed to believe what Elsa was saying. Even Lena, who was always by Elsa's side, didn't believe her. Elsa was truly on the verge of a breakdown. This was all Lord Luminous' fault. The debutante ball, specially prepared for Elsa, was about to begin. Everyone was fretting over what kind of dress Elsa should wear. On one side was a light green dress popular in social circles. On the other was a vintage and glamorous pink dress. The head maid believed that Princess Elsa would look even more adorable in the light green dress, like a summer fairy. Maid Lena thought that the pink dress was every girl's favorite, as it had always been traditionally. The two maids each held their ground, unable to convince the other, leading to a constant argument. Even Elsa herself couldn't make up her mind. "Which do you think looks better, the light green or the pink?" she asked those watching. Elsa sat to the side, sighing. Choosing a dress wasn't a simple task. It was like an elimination round to select the final dress. Just as Elsa was worrying, a maid informed her that her friend from the south had each sent a letter. Upon hearing this news, Elsa immediately put the dress issue aside. Full of anticipation, she opened the envelopes. This one was from Miss Rose to Elsa. First, she greeted Elsa and thanked her for the invitation to the ball. Reading the contents of the letter, Elsa couldn't help but giggle. The round handwriting was just like Rose herself. Chloe also thanked Elsa for the invitation, telling her not to be so nervous at the ball. The last one was a letter from Ashley. "I'm really happy to write back to you. After the last ball, I've been thinking about what you said. Although I'm still afraid of my mother, I'm not as anxious anymore. After all, I know the water spirit will always be by my side." Reading Ashley's words, Elsa felt deeply comforted. He had always longed for love from his mother. Now, the water spirit had perfectly filled the void in his heart. The letter also mentioned the matter of the magic bracelet. Ashley also felt there were some suspicious points. She hoped to discuss it in detail after meeting Elsa. Elsa was looking forward to this banquet. Whether it was family, spirits, or friends, everyone was putting their heart into it. She wished for the banquet to be a complete success. Even Lord Luminous would be sending his blessings. So this banquet held special significance. Elsa also wanted to use this banquet to let everyone know that Lwyn was the Spirit King. At this moment, the maid's intrusion broke the tranquility. "Your Highness, have you rested well? Let's continue choosing your dress." Elsa was utterly devastated. The maid was like a demon. Choosing a dress was always the beginning of a banquet. Elsa's coming-of-age ceremony had begun. The Spirit King personally came to offer Elsa his blessings. As soon as he entered, Luminous's aura immediately caught His Majesty's attention. "I suppose you must be the next candidate for High Priest. Were you not a nobleman before?" The Spirit King responded immediately, addressing His Majesty as you. This scared Elsa and Isis, making them break out in a cold sweat. They both knew that the Spirit King had previously used a disrespectful attitude when addressing the prince. But the Spirit King still had some self-awareness. Even though he was the focus of everyone's attention, he still showed respect to His Majesty. "You've guessed wrong. I'm not a nobleman." When Elsa and the others heard the Spirit King's attitude, they breathed a sigh of relief. At this point, His Majesty realized he had been somewhat impolite. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked. It's inappropriate to ask such questions to a high priest who has already abandoned his worldly past." The Spirit King didn't mind. Instead, he said something that seemed to be directed specifically at Elsa. When one becomes interested in someone, it's natural to want to know more about them. Elsa thought to herself, "How can he say such things while looking at me?" So Elsa steeled herself and pretended it was their first meeting. "It's an honor to receive your blessing at the debutante ball. I look forward to your guidance in the future." The Spirit King played along with Elsa. "The honor is mine." At this moment, Elsa suddenly realized that the Spirit King was being so respectful to humans, and even acting so naturally. But when he spoke to her brother, he had seemed quite casual. Before Elsa could think more, the high priest began praising Luminous effusively. No one is more suitable than him to offer blessings for the princess's debutante ball. Neither I nor any other priest can compare. Since the high priest says so, I find this person even more reliable, her mother applauded. In that case, let's formally discuss how to prepare for the banquet. And so, they began discussing the arrangements for the banquet. The Spirit King once again sneaked into Elsa's room. The two being alone in the dead of night was truly awkward. Originally, Elsa was alone in her room, handling conference documents, but drowsiness crept up on her unnoticed. Elsa struggled to finish the task at hand, but unexpectedly, she closed her eyes and fell asleep. Just then, the Spirit King suddenly appeared behind her. "Oh, you're not asleep yet." This startled Elsa. She hurriedly explained that she still had some things to organize. Then she asked the Spirit King, "Why have you come to see me at this hour? Isn't it too late for you to be up?" The Spirit King leaned to one side and replied, "Spirits originally don't need to sleep. I just came by to see you on my way. After all, there's no chance to be alone with you during the day." Elsa suddenly thought of something. How did you learn to use honorifics? It turned out that after coming to the human world, the Spirit King discovered that humans have their own statuses and relationships, which require corresponding etiquette. So, to better understand Elsa, he followed human rules. The Spirit King was also curious about something. Are those people you met during the day also important to you? Elsa recalled the events of the day. After the meeting ended, the Spirit King and her brother started bickering again. They both looked down on each other. The Spirit King's attitude towards the Crown Prince was still disrespectful. This made Isis very angry, but he could do nothing about the Spirit King, so he just waved it off. The High Priest walking with Elsa was very emotional. He couldn't believe that the once little princess had grown so much. He still remembered the moment when Princess Elsa first showed her victory. "Now you're fulfilling your duties as the Empire's holy maiden. I'm really proud of you and the Emil Empire. If only I could continue to witness your growth in the future. But I'm already old. I can only silently watch over you from behind in the future. It's such a pity." The High Priest's sincerity touched Elsa deeply. "Just thinking that someone is silently watching over me makes me feel very secure. Please continue to look after me in the future." This scene between Elsa and the High Priest was quietly observed by the Spirit King. Facing the Spirit King's question, Elsa spoke her true feelings. "Whether it's family or the High Priest, whenever I'm wandering in darkness, they shine like the sun, illuminating my heart. Thanks to them, I was able to escape that darkness." But the Spirit King saw through it at a glance. He interrupted Elsa before she could finish. "But I think the darkness in your heart still remains within you." The Spirit King's words hit the mark. Faced with the statement, Elsa was at a loss for words. The Spirit King also noticed Elsa's discomfort. "You look a bit tired. I'll take my leave now." Then the Spirit King used magic, gently touching Elsa's forehead. "When you wake up, your fatigue will be gone." Elsa said a puzzled, "Thank you." After the Spirit King left, Elsa lay down, deep in thought. The Spirit King used magic to erase the distractions in Elsa's mind. After the magical cleansing, Elsa woke up the next day, full of energy. She couldn't help but marvel. Is this the power of the Spirit King? He can even see through my little-known secrets. The Spirit King's abilities are truly unfathomable. Elsa was a bit worried. The Spirit King, he shouldn't know about my secret from my previous life, right? Just as Elsa was pondering, the maids came out again. Unexpectedly, the matter of choosing a gown from last time was still undecided. Elsa didn't know what to do. Moreover, there was an additional gown here. She asked the family members on the screen, "Which dress do you think Elsa will choose?" The headmaid asked Elsa if she disliked all these dresses. Fearing to disappoint the maid's goodwill, Elsa hurriedly explained that all three gowns were beautiful, but she felt there was something slightly lacking in each. At this moment, the wet nurse suggested, "Why don't you ask for Her Majesty the Queen's opinion? She's sure to have good ideas." Elsa thought this was an excellent suggestion, so she happily ran to her mother, only to be stunned by the dress in her mother's room. Her mother explained to Elsa, "This is the dress I wore at my debutante ball when I was 14 years old." Elsa was shocked. This dress was from 20 years ago. Surprisingly, even after so long, the dress still looked elegant and appropriate. This also piqued Elsa's curiosity. "Mother, can you tell me about your debutante ball day?" Her mother sat on the sofa and began recounting her story from when she was 14. Because of the cold climate in the north, debutante balls were usually held in summer. But just a few days before the ball, it started to rain heavily with thunder. This resulted in no one attending the ball. The queen-to-be was alone, crying in a corner. It was then that she met the man who would love her for a lifetime. "I can't make the rain stop, but I can be your dance partner." Seeing Alice didn't respond, Traywin knelt on one knee and asked Alice again, "May I have the honor of being your dance partner?" At that moment, Alice was deeply moved by Traywin's gesture. It felt like a midsummer night's dream. Hearing this, Elsa couldn't help but tease. "So that's when you fell for father?" Her mother blushed, touching her cheek. "Of course not. He was already the crown prince then. How could I dare to hope to be with him?" Then her mother admitted, "I did start to like him a bit at that time. The scene of him reaching out to help me is something I'll never forget for the rest of my life." Unfortunately, these things can only be reminisced in memory now, and there's no chance to wear that dress again. At this point, Elsa suddenly thought of something. "Mother, can you grant me a request?" Elsa smiled mischievously. Those of you watching probably already know what it is. It was to reject the 3 dresses chosen by the maids, and have her mother wear that memory-filled dress again. So, dear audience, did you guess correctly? Elsa got married. Elsa really married the Spirit King. Hand in hand, they walked towards the hall under everyone's gaze. In front of them were Elsa's parents. They were to bow to her parents in front of all the people. The commoners watching the ceremony couldn't help but exclaim, "How she's grown up. The one next to her must be the priest candidate, right? They look perfect together." Yes, absolutely perfect. I heard that if you type Happy Chishi Festival in the comments, you'll find there's no special effect. Don't believe me? Try it yourselves. Traywin looked at Elsa's dress. Suddenly startled, he exclaimed, "Alice, isn't that your dress?" Queen Alice blushed slightly. "I can't believe you still remember my dress from when I was 14. It was Elsa who asked me to lend her the gown to wear. Elsa wanted to wear it to her own debutante ball. Oh no, Lul misspoke. It's for the wedding. Elsa wanted her mother to recall the day she met her father. Queen Alice also tried to persuade Elsa. "You're the star of this wedding. With so many beautiful gowns, why do you insist on wearing my old one?" Elsa shook her head. She said that although the gown was old, it was still so clean, showing how much her mother treasured it. Moreover, this gown carried memories of her parents. In the end, Queen Alice's attempt to persuade backfired. "If this gown can bring happy memories to my daughter, as a mother, I'll be very happy too." Queen Alice told Traywin about the whole process. Traywin was very pleased. Without realizing it, their daughter had grown into a sensible and beautiful young lady. When Elsa and the Spirit King came before her parents, it was time for the wedding ceremony. That is, the part where the couple pays respects. Elsa first paid respects to her parents as the princess of the Emil Empire, greeting the empire's sun and moon. Traywin asked Elsa if she was nervous. After confirming she wasn't, Traywin stood on the stage and began blessing Elsa. "I hope you'll see more of the world and gain more experience. As your father, I'll be your solid support, helping you become the brightest star of the Emil Empire." Elsa hurriedly thanked her father for his blessing. Finally, with Traywin's announcement, Elsa's wedding officially began. Those who are married know that paying respects to heaven and earth is a complex ritual, so I'll skip that part for you here. But I won't tell you that I made all this up. Alright, see you next time. As mentioned in the last episode, Elsa and the Spirit King were getting married. As a result, everyone in the comments was asking if it was true or false. Of course, it's all false. Even though everyone wants to ship them, Elsa has many suitors, you know. Back to the topic. Elsa clasped her hands together and sincerely knelt before the Spirit King. Elsa had finally waited for this moment, the glorious moment of receiving the Spirit King's blessing. The Spirit King extended both hands. Under the effect of magic, a dazzling light illuminated the venue. A blinding magical orb appeared in the Spirit King's hands. They say the more likes, the faster the author updates. Don't believe it? Try typing "updates soon" in the comments. Then the Spirit King began to sincerely bless Elsa. "Princess of the Emil Empire, may good fortune always be with you." The light particles from the magical orb began to surround Elsa. So warm. Is this the blessing from Lord Luminous? It wasn't over yet. The Spirit King whispered, "Besides the princess, I also bless those who congratulate you. The Spirit King began to increase the magical enhancement. The blessing light particles began to slowly spread to everyone in the venue. Elsa felt both gratified and surprised. They had agreed that the blessing was only for Elsa. Yet, unexpectedly, the Spirit King was so generous, expending enormous magical power to bless everyone. The crowd hurriedly applauded to express their gratitude. The Spirit King gently took Elsa's right hand. It seemed they had reached the ring-giving and proposal part. At this moment, Queen Alice told the Spirit King that according to custom, if he wanted to marry their precious princess, he would have to dance with her. These words immediately stunned the two siblings. Queen Alice continued to persuade, hoping that High Priest Lul would accept her suggestion and dance the first dance with her daughter. Elsa felt somewhat embarrassed. She couldn't help but secretly glance at the Spirit King. Dance with Lord Luminous? The Spirit King was about to agree to the Queen's request, but Isis refused. This absolutely cannot happen. I've always been the one to dance with my sister, and this is the first dance of the debutante ball. I won't give way. Seeing her brother fight for her like this, Elsa was overjoyed. It seemed her brother still cared for her deeply, although he did this to restrain the Spirit King. So Elsa told her mother that she also wanted to dance with her brother. The next moment, Elsa took her brother's hand. My first dance will always be for my brother. Under the moving music, the siblings began the first dance of the debutante ball. They danced and chatted happily, making the audience envious. The Spirit King felt sour. He really felt sour. After their dance ended, Isis, to prevent the Spirit King from becoming Elsa's dance partner, actually pushed young Master Bwin to Elsa. I'm entrusting my sister to you. Be her dance partner. This is an order. Young Master Bwin was stunned. He stood in front of Elsa at a loss, staring straight at Princess Elsa. Finally, Elsa took the initiative and asked, "Young Master Bwin, would you like to dance with me?" Bwin shyly accepted. The two began an elegant dance. But during the dance, Bwin accidentally stepped on Elsa's foot. They almost kissed. Young Master Bwin hurriedly apologized. "I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not very good at dancing." Elsa comforted him. "Actually, dance skill isn't important. At today's ball, you just need to relax and enjoy yourself." After they finished dancing, Elsa couldn't help but tease. "That last step really hurt." Isis began to lecture Bwin. "No wonder you're never eager to dance at balls." At this moment, the Spirit King approached Elsa. He extended his hand. "Princess, I haven't rejected Queen Alice's suggestion. Let's get married." As everyone's favorite, 3 handsome men were vying to dance with her. Elsa welcomed them all. The Spirit King sincerely invited, "Would you like to dance with me?" It happened rather suddenly. Elsa agreed in a somewhat dazed state. The jealous king beside them was truly furious. He had thought that pushing young Master Bwin towards Elsa would prevent the Spirit King. Yet unexpectedly, he still succeeded. Elsa asked the Spirit King, "Lord Luminous, do you know how to dance?" For elves, dancing is the most basic skill. So whenever there's a banquet, Lul would unconsciously start dancing. The Spirit King suddenly wrapped his arm around Elsa's waist. "Don't call me Luminous. You should call me Lewin." This scene of the Spirit King getting close to Elsa really captivated me. I heard that if you comment asking for wallpaper, Reborn will give you wallpaper in the next work. The Spirit King continued to say to Elsa, "My name in the human world is Lewin, but whether in the human world or not, I hope others can call me Lewin. After all, you gave me this name." The Spirit King's words were somewhat ambiguous. Elsa was stunned. Then she felt very happy to have gained the Spirit King's approval. "All right, I'll call you Mr. Lewin from now on." After their dance ended, Elsa began to look around for her brother. Where did my brother and the others go? I remember they were just here. Little did she know, Isis, the jealous king, had been watching them dance from the second floor the whole time. Elsa glanced inadvertently and saw countless noble ladies surrounding the Spirit King. "Are you High Priest Lewin? I didn't expect you to be even more handsome up close." Elsa was also helpless. Being so handsome, it would be strange if he wasn't surrounded by people. Elsa could only tearfully slip away. "Lord Luminous, I'm sorry I can't help you escape either." Just after Elsa finished dancing with the Spirit King, she encountered her 3 good friends. They began to exchange greetings. "Ever since we parted, we've all really missed you." Rose began to tease Ashley, especially Ashley. "She mentions you every day, saying things like, 'What is the princess doing now? Has she eaten?' and so on." This made Ashley's face turn red. Chloe directly exposed Rose. "When Ashley's not around, don't you do the same?" Elsa showed a smug expression. "Do you two miss me that much?" Suddenly, Rose's stomach growled. Elsa couldn't help but burst into laughter. She quickly led them to the hall to eat desserts. They chatted and laughed. Elsa asked Ashley how her elf magic studies were going. She offered to lend her any books she might need. Ashley explained, actually, after that day, they stopped holding elf magic gatherings, and related books have become hard to find. Elsa got straight to the point, asking, was the magic bracelet obtained at the elf tree gathering? Ashley hesitated. Yes, the teacher introduced me to a mentor who gave it to me. Hearing the key point, Elsa immediately became serious. Can you tell me more about the situation at that time? Ashley recalled the scene. The teacher, using Ashley's outstanding abilities as an excuse, brought her before the mentor. That mentor wore a black robe and looked very stern. He directly asked Ashley if she wanted to become an elf mage. He said he could help her. Ashley couldn't contain her excitement upon hearing this news. Really? What do I need to do? Little did she know, the mentor was testing her. I didn't expect you to be so serious. Why do you want to become an elf mage? Ashley immediately lowered her head. Because if I become an elf mage, I can earn my mother's love. It's also because I'm not good enough. I've never been able to meet my mother's expectations. This is my last chance, so I want to fulfill my mother's expectations. The mentor told Ashley, as long as you're desperate enough, nothing is impossible. Then, the mentor directly took out a magic bracelet and gave it to Ashley. From now on, you're an elf mage of the Emil Empire. She was not only Elsa's sister in her previous life, but also her mortal enemy in this life. In order to kill Elsa, she had once sent spies to try and poison Elsa and her brother. This time, using Ashley, she employed the magic bracelet to collect negative emotions. But the purpose remained unknown. To clarify Mariana's intentions, Elsa took Ashley to the royal library to search for information about the magic bracelet. After careful searching by both of them, they finally found a book about the magic bracelet. The moment Elsa opened the book, she was stunned. To summon demons and use black magic, one must use negative energies like anger and jealousy as fuel. At first, Elsa wasn't certain that Mariana was behind this. But after seeing the purpose of the magic bracelet, Elsa had to conclude it was her. After all, only someone of high status could obtain such a magic bracelet. And with the white hair and red eyes characteristic of Idenbell, there was no one else but Mariana. Though now she should be called a black mage. But what exactly was Mariana planning? This plunged Elsa into deep thought. Ashley, seeing Elsa's haggard appearance, grew very concerned. She quickly grasped Elsa's hands with both of hers. Princess, are you all right? Why are you shaking so much? Elsa's emotions suddenly plummeted. Can I lean on you for a moment? Just for a little while. At this moment, Ashley recalled the last time Elsa held her hand. The warmth from Princess Elsa's hand had melted her heart then. After that day, she had made up her mind to become someone who could bring warmth to others. Especially in moments like this, being able to help someone in need felt wonderful. Once Elsa's emotions stabilized, the two of them walked out of the library together. Elsa thought to herself, I can't believe I showed my vulnerable side to Ashley. How embarrassing. But with Ashley's comfort, her mood had improved significantly. At this moment, Rose and the others also approached Elsa. They couldn't stop praising how delicious the palace desserts were. What book is that? Rose curiously asked Ashley. These are books about elves that Princess Elsa lent me. Really? That's wonderful. If you make good use of these books, you should be able to summon the water spirit again soon. I'm looking forward to it too, so I must study hard. Elsa was very pleased. I'll cheer you on. As they were chatting and laughing, Elsa keenly noticed that something seemed to be watching them from behind. To their great surprise, Elsa's empire was about to face war. To protect Elsa, her brother decided to lead the troops himself. The one who instigated the war was none other than Elsa's empire from her previous life. Ever since Elsa's brother from her previous life, Rakius, had ascended to the throne, he began recruiting soldiers everywhere. He wanted to establish merit through territorial expansion, thereby appeasing the nobles and consolidating his position. Isis thought that he might be able to avenge Elsa through this war. After all, on the day Elsa confessed her secret of reincarnation, he had made up his mind to protect Elsa at all costs, to avenge his sister and overcome that long-buried shadow. Isis told young Master Bwin that he would personally lead the troops to settle this long-standing grudge. Unexpectedly, Isis's words were overheard by Elsa, who was hiding behind the door. Elsa realized the severity of the situation. Mariana, from the enemy country, had mastered black magic, and Mariana was the most obedient to Rakius. She would definitely assist Rakias with all her might. Elsa couldn't let her brother go to his death in vain. She had to stop her brother from going to war. Just as Isis was about to seek Elsa's consent, before he could finish speaking, Elsa loudly refused. As the only heir, if you get involved in the war between Riodin and Idenbel, the domestic situation will become very unstable. This would give the enemy an opportunity to exploit. More importantly, I don't want to lose my only brother. As Elsa spoke, tears began to flow uncontrollably. Isis hugged Elsa tightly, comforting her. Elsa, calm down first. But Elsa didn't care and directly questioned Isis. You had already anticipated everything and made your decision on the day we made that promise about the future, right? If I hadn't accidentally overheard your conversation today, you would have kept it a secret from me all along, wouldn't you? Isis was left speechless by Elsa's words. Elsa understood that her brother was doing all this to protect her, but she couldn't just sit idly by. Elsa told Isis about the magic bracelet coming from Idenbel and shared her thoughts. Since Idenbel was preparing for war, the magic bracelet incident was probably part of their plan. They were well aware. The Emil Empire had elf mages. Elf mages using magic bracelets would inevitably cause a stir in the Empire. But they didn't expect that I had protected Ashley. During this time, I've been focusing on studying elf magic. I won't be like before, hiding behind you and being protected. I want to use my own strength to protect everyone around me. So, brother, don't silently guard me anymore. Please reach out your hand to me. Isis suddenly realized that his sister didn't want him to bear all this alone. But Elsa's dream, as her brother, he wanted to continue protecting this happy dream of his sister. He told Elsa, as long as I can see your radiant smile in a peaceful and beautiful place, hear your happy laughter, I'll be content. This was everything to Isis. Then Isis quickly apologized to Elsa. I'm sorry, Elsa. I couldn't control my emotions and impulsively said I wanted to go to war. This decision was indeed too hasty. Let's find other solutions together. Elsa instantly cheered up. Then you can't keep things from me in the future. Isis lowered his head shyly. I understand. You've really got me. To everyone's surprise, Elsa decided to summon the Spirit King to defeat Mariana. She wanted Lord Luminous to serve her as his master, thereby increasing her own battle power. The Spirit King was incredibly surprised to hear this news. You want to summon me? The Spirit King told Elsa with a serious face. From ancient times until now, no human has ever successfully summoned the Spirit King. Elsa clenched her fists in frustration. She actually knew herself how absurd it was for a mere human to try to summon the Spirit King, even though it seemed impossible. But for her brother, for protecting this happy and beautiful family, Elsa still decided to attempt to summon the Spirit King. She loudly promised the Spirit King, I will study seriously, work hard to improve my elf magic. I will put in more effort than now. She expressed her willingness to do everything in her power to summon him. The Spirit King didn't understand why Elsa insisted on summoning him. She already possessed great strength now, and she had her brother, a swordsman, protecting her. Even if the past might threaten her, in the peace created by those protecting Elsa, she could still enjoy her current happiness. In fact, Elsa had considered all this long ago. The warmth of her family made her not want to seek revenge, to continue enjoying this happy and beautiful life as it was now. But seeing Idenbel's actions, Elsa finally understood. Only by completely eradicating Idenbel could her happiness be complete. Elsa told the Spirit King her thoughts. For me, true happiness begins with cutting off the karmic ties of the past and using my own strength to protect those I cherish. Currently, I'm not strong enough, but to become stronger, I'm willing to do anything. Even if it means offering myself in marriage, I will summon you. Mariana's true identity didn't matter. As long as she was strong enough, she wouldn't lose to anyone. This was what she needed to do from now on. The Spirit King was shocked by Elsa's words. He secretly murmured to himself, it might not be bad to serve such a person as my master. But given his status, should he call her master or wife? They gazed at the sky, lanterns laden with wishes, flying one by one towards the heavens. The scene was breathtakingly beautiful. Elsa approached Rose and the others. They were discussing their wishes. Rose told Ashley that words have power, and speaking wishes aloud makes them more likely to come true. Suddenly, all three of them leaned towards Elsa, trying to hint that she should speak her wish out loud. Sensing their intention, Elsa quickly changed the subject. project. I'm so thirsty. Why is the weather so hot today? Let's all have a glass of juice. Elsa picked up a glass and started gulping it down. Only after finishing did she realize something was wrong with the juice. Her throat was burning. Elsa covered her mouth. Before she could finish speaking, she collapsed to the ground. Your Highness, are you all right? Everyone rushed towards Elsa. On the other side, Isis was terrified. Could someone have poisoned her? Isis embraced Elsa. Hold on, Elsa. Quick, call for a priest. Isis shouted frantically. Unexpectedly, Elsa looked up, grinning from ear to ear. She cupped Isis's face, laughing as she called out, "Brother!" Isis blushed at this intimate gesture. Young Master Bwin sniffed the liquid in the glass and explained, the princess didn't drink juice, but high-proof wine. It seemed the princess was drunk, giving everyone quite a scare. Elsa continued to smile foolishly at Isis. Suddenly, she pointed at Isis and started babbling nonsense. Seeing Elsa's unseemly behavior, Bwin feared it might affect her reputation. So he asked the Spirit King if there was a way to erase people's memories. The Spirit King replied that it could only be used in emergencies. Is there a way to sober her up? Suddenly, Elsa's parents, who had heard about her collapse, rushed over. Elsa, are you all right? Unexpectedly, Elsa embraced her family tightly. I love you all so much, she said, before falling asleep in their arms. Her brother was willing to risk his life for revenge to protect Elsa. But as the one being protected, she didn't want to lose her only brother. She wanted to use her power as an elf mage to share this burden with him. However, the dark magic couldn't help but catch Elsa's attention. Even though the palace library contained many historical documents, Elsa had already read most of them. It was difficult to find any new useful information. At this moment, Elsa remembered that young Master Bwin's family had been magic swordsmen for generations. She thought she might be able to get some useful information from him. But to her surprise, young Master Bwin said, information about elves is already rare enough, let alone dark magic. Elsa was instantly overwhelmed with disappointment. Even magic swordsmen might not be familiar with dark magic that had disappeared in ancient times. Elsa began to feel somewhat at a loss. Facing Mary, who possessed dark magic, could Anna confront her with her own strength? At this moment, the Lantern Festival began. People would light lanterns carrying their wishes. Bwin told Elsa that making a wish itself is a process of confirming what one's heart desperately desires. Have you decided what wish you want to make? Elsa hesitated, thinking about what she desperately desired. She didn't continue that train of thought. She regretfully told Bwin, the festival has already started, but I still haven't decided what wish to make. What should I do? Bwin quickly consoled her. It's all right. Even if you don't make a wish at the Lantern Festival, your wish will surely come true. After all, the God of Light, who illuminates all things, is always with us. And what wishes do you, the viewers, have? Share your wishes in the comments section. Perhaps they'll come true at this Lantern Festival too. Elsa sighed. That's right. The God of Light is always in the place furthest yet closest to us, caring for us. He will surely help us fulfill our wishes. As Bwin and Elsa were parting, Elsa asked Bwin, have you already decided what wish you're going to make? Yes, just now I've come up with my wish. Back to Isis's side, Bwin reported to him, I've safely escorted the princess back. Then the two of them discussed the war. Young Master Bwin also felt that Isis's decision was too rash. Even if the princess didn't intervene, he would stop him. Isis impatiently stated that he already knew. You're so nagging. Bwin sneered. You've made the princess so sad. You should endure this bit of nagging. Isis was suddenly stunned. He hadn't expected anyone else to care so much about Elsa. But the thought of Elsa having another suitor made him angry. At this point, young Master Bwin stated that as the vice captain, he would also join the war ritual of the Rioden Principality. You should be well aware of my abilities, right? Isis laughed and affirmed, I do acknowledge your swordsmanship skills. He couldn't resist teasing, but your dancing skills are truly abysmal. Young Master Bwin was truly exasperated. What are you doing? Isis continued to tease. Who knows? If your dancing skills were a bit better, you might be able to enchant those Eidenbell folks to summon the Spirit King. Elsa began to improve herself in all aspects. First, she transformed her healing magic into concrete attack magic. She summoned both Lul and Lemuel. She had Lul create arrows, while Lemuel made the bow. The shooting was left to Elsa. Elsa concentrated, aiming at the target. She released, and the arrow shot quickly from her hand. As the golden light slowly dissipated, Elsa had created a dent directly in the large tree. She succeeded. This was attack magic successfully executed through the cooperation of the three of them. It was after the midsummer banquet had ended. Elsa practiced elf magic day after day. In order to someday summon Luminas, Elsa set her short-term goal as summoning a high-level elf. Besides cultivating her elf power, Elsa was also preparing for war. When converting the healing effect of light elf magic into an attack, this training would put a strain on her body. Fortunately, as her skill level improved, this burden was gradually lessening. Elsa collapsed on the ground, complaining, "It's really tiring." Suddenly, in this moment of leisure, Elsa missed the Spirit King. Since the summer banquet ended, she hadn't seen the Spirit King again. But every time Elsa thought about the Spirit King, he would always appear before her. It seemed this rule could never be broken. Once again, it startled Elsa. "Lewin, why are you here?" The Spirit King didn't answer. "It seems you really want to summon me. You should continue resting." Elsa nervously scratched the back of her neck. "I need to hurry and become stronger. I can't delay any longer." The Spirit King was very pleased to see Elsa's positive attitude. Once again, he used magic to remove Elsa's fatigue. This made Lul and Lemuel extremely envious. Then the Spirit King helped Elsa up, saying, "For humans, there are things as important as work." Elsa was curious about what these things were. Of course, it's rest and hobbies. Then the two of them appeared on the street together. The Spirit King asked Elsa, "Do you really need to dress up like this?" Elsa confidently replied, "Of course. Didn't you say you wanted to tour the capital? Since we're sneaking out without guards, we must disguise ourselves." Originally, the Spirit King wanted to summon a golden eagle to fly together to the capital, but this was blocked by Elsa. She couldn't help but criticize, "You still need to learn more to understand humans better. This time we're going out. Try not to attract attention. Act natural." Even though they were very careful, they were still discovered by the common people. They were unmistakably noble blue bloods. Elsa blamed the Spirit King. "It's all your fault for being too conspicuous." The Spirit King retorted, "Aren't you just as conspicuous?" This was the Spirit King's first time going on a street date with Elsa. To avoid drawing attention, the Spirit King changed his golden hair to light brown. He and Elsa also put on robes in a shop. The Spirit King shyly scratched his head, asking, "Am I not so conspicuous now?" Unexpectedly, the Spirit King's handsomeness surprised the people around them. Elsa immediately pulled the Spirit King out of the shop. "Now it's not just about your hair and priest robes. You'd better put on a hat quickly." Outside, Elsa adjusted the Spirit King's hat while instructing, "Although it's a bit hot, please bear with it. Don't take off the hat no matter what." Just as Elsa finished speaking, Lord Luminas took off his hat. This wasn't Luminas being rebellious. He had used magic to adjust the surrounding light. This way, people would have an illusion and wouldn't pay attention to them. Elsa was speechless at the Spirit King's actions. "Then why didn't you use magic earlier?" Suddenly, a group of children appeared around Elsa. They were anxiously discussing what to do. It was about to start soon. They absolutely couldn't miss it this time. Elsa looked towards the bustling scene ahead. Curiosity drove her forward. "It seems like there's something fun over there. Let's go take a look." At this moment, Elsa's sweet smile deeply captivated the Spirit King. As they reached the performance stage, the people on stage were acting out Elsa's previous scenes of summoning spirits. Seeing this, Elsa froze in place. The Spirit King teased in a low voice, "It seems they're performing your story." Elsa's scalp tingled with embarrassment. She quickly covered her blushing face with her hat. Although she knew that the common people admired the status of spirit mages, she never imagined they would turn it into a play. The drama made Elsa very self-conscious. But for the children, it was perfect. They all wanted to become cool spirit mages like the princess. The Spirit King looked at the shy Elsa and said, "You're quite popular, aren't you?" Elsa replied, "Are you teasing me?" Just then, an irresistible aroma wafted over. Unable to resist the temptation of food, Elsa ran over. "This looks really delicious. How much does this sausage cost?" "It's just 1 silver coin." Elsa was stunned. 1 silver coin. The shopkeeper, not understanding her reaction, thought the customer found it expensive. We use the best ingredients in the area. Elsa quickly waved her hands. That's not what I meant. It turned out that Elsa had already spent all her silver coins when buying the robes. Now she only had gold coins left. Just then, a little girl selling newspapers was also tempted by the delicious food. This led to her being driven away by the shopkeeper. Clearly, it wasn't the first or second time she couldn't afford food. At this moment, Elsa thought of a win-win solution. She told the shopkeeper, "I only have 1 gold coin." This startled the shopkeeper. 1 gold coin? I can't give you change for that. Elsa pretended to think. Since it's too much money, I guess I'll have to buy all this food. But it seems like too much for just the 2 of us. Elsa suddenly looked at the child. She gently asked, "Little one, I need someone to help me eat all this. Would you like to help?" The little girl happily inquired, "Really? Can I?" But soon Elsa realized that even with 3 people, it might be too much to eat. The little girl hesitantly asked, "If there are leftovers, can I take them home for my brothers and sisters?" Unsure, Elsa turned to the Spirit King. He quickly nodded in approval. The little girl's face blossomed into a joyful smile. So, Elsa suggested taking the food back to the child's home to eat together. However, on the way to the child's home, 3 guards were searching for suspicious individuals. Many people were asking if the Spirit King was Elsa's official partner, and whether Isis, who doted on Elsa so much, might die protecting her in future plot developments. To answer the fans' questions, I rewatched the manga's storyline with these doubts in mind. As we all know, this manga's main plot revolves around revenge. And after Elsa confessed her secret of being reborn, she decided to join her brother in seeking revenge. Therefore, before completing her revenge, Elsa won't indulge in romantic love. So, at least before the revenge is complete, Elsa and the Spirit King won't officially announce their relationship. Whether they will after the revenge is accomplished remains unknown. Coincidentally, today is Grape's 2nd anniversary. Even Elsa and the Spirit King are celebrating Grape's birthday. It's said that if you write "Happy Birthday" in the comment section, you'll receive the Spirit King's blessing for celebrating Grape's birthday. So, we'll address the issue about Isis later. Now, let's talk about the story of Ririn meeting fans. Dear fans, do you remember what made you follow Ririn? Was it the manga Embracing the Sun Again? Or the court ladies' dangerous brothers? Or perhaps you got to know Ririn through the manga, The Beast Tamed by the Villainess? As for me, I got to know Grape from late February last year. It was also because of Grape's work, Embracing the Sun Again, that my fan base surpassed 280,000 in just 2 weeks. It was also thanks to Grape's work, The Court Ladies' Dangerous Brothers, that I broke through 500,000 fans, allowing me to meet more dear fans. Without Grape, there wouldn't be today's Ririn. I also thank the fans for their continuous support and love. I wish Grape a happy 2nd anniversary. May your company flourish and grow stronger day by day. Back to the main topic. They say the warmer the plot is at the beginning, the more heartbreaking it becomes later. Will Isis sacrifice himself to protect Elsa? Since Elsa's birth, Isis has given her selfless love. After Isis learned about Elsa's secret of reincarnation, he worked even harder at swordsmanship to protect his sister. This has led fans to wonder, will the brother unfortunately perish in the war between the 2 countries? This question involves some spoilers, so I won't elaborate too much. So the answer is that Isis won't die. Even though Idenbel is a magic empire, and Mariana possesses black magic, Elsa is also growing stronger. She's always aiming to successfully summon the Spirit King, so fans can boldly continue following the story. There won't be any plot developments that fans might find objectionable later on.